Insurance companies often discourage people from getting an attorney. If I can't get you more, even after our fee, then you owe us nothing, not even our costs. I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12670. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Good morning, everybody. It is 7 a.m. on Wednesday, August 9th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect sunny skies with a high of 99. Coming up on OTB, Ross Jackson of the Locked On Saints podcast joins the show at 7:30, and we talk college football with Wilson Alexander of The Advocate at 8:15. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 104.5 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number one of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Yeah! Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back. I mean, that just sounded... So, I think your timing was off today with your sliders there.
Maybe a little.
Yeah, I think you went down a little early. What's up, y'all? T-Bob here. Mario and Taylor as well. I hope you're having a great Wednesday morning thus far. We're going to have a fun 3 hours here. But we're going to start on a bit of a somber note as Jake is not going to be on the show today as he is laying to rest his grandfather. This is Tommy Joe Hester. Jake made it very clear. Not Thomas Joseph, Tommy Joe Hester. And Jake said that this is where the Hester grit comes from. He's the hardest working man that he knew. He passed that down to Jake's father. Served his country twice. Never complained. Just went to work. Loved the Tigers and hated the Gators just as much. And is reportedly being buried in those same overalls that if you knew him, you would have constantly seen him in pretty much his entire life. So rest in peace to a man who, like Jake said, served his country in two different arms of branches of service. And here's to, Jake and his family and getting through what is always a difficult time. Rest in peace, Tommy Joe Hester. All right, now, we'll pull the always impossible pivot when you then have to go and talk about stuff like that doesn't matter. But I do think it's going to be a fun 3 hours today. We're going to talk a little LSU practice report. Taylor actually got to go see the team live, so he can give us some firsthand view, boots on the ground perspective. I want to get into the Saints before we get there with Ross Jackson. So hour one, as always, going to be very sportsy. In hour two, we'll break down the Ballad of Ben Mintz. As if you missed it, there's been an insane chain of reactions concerning like Barstool, Penn, ESPN, and I don't know if it's just because I saw Oppenheimer yesterday and I got like chain reactions on the mind, but a lot of it actually centers around Ben Mintz, which is really kind of insane to think about. And so I'll lay it all out for you as it's pretty fascinating. It also does change the gambling landscape potentially moving forward. And then hour three, we're probably going to get real weird. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. I'm thinking we got to talk about the thoughtpocalypse as AI influencers are here, and I have a lot of thoughts on that. I got a spoiler-free Oppenheimer review. First 20 minutes of Hard Knocks review. Taylor watched Untold with Johnny Football, which I guess a bunch of people are watching on Netflix right now, which I've heard is really good as well. As always, there's just way too much content to keep up with, but we'll do our best. And no, I did not get to start Baldur's Gate 3 yesterday, unfortunately. Maybe today. Let's start though with the LSU football Tigers as they're back on the practice field, and I had missed this story, and I'm sure y'all talked about it when I was out. But in some good news, but some serious news, defensive line coach Jimmy Lindsey is out of the hospital. So Coach Lindsey was taken to the hospital August 1st, a couple days before camp started. He was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. And according to Coach Kelly in his media availability, he said, quote, "We've gotten great reports. There's a long road of recovery ahead for him. There's other things he's going to have to handle that are personal and private for the family, and they're going to have to deal with." So, again, prayers up for Coach Lindsey and his family, as it sounds like, like Coach Kelly laid out there, there's a battle ahead for him. And in terms of functionally what it means for this LSU football team is that John Jancic is now coaching defensive line, and Bob Diaco, who, of course, former Nebraska defensive coordinator, who came on as a defensive analyst, is now coaching outside linebackers where Jancic was coaching before. So the main thing to highlight here, again, is that Coach Lindsey is out of the hospital, right? And that long road to recovery can begin. But functionally on the football field, a couple of coaching changes taking place on that defense. Speaking of the defense, if you want to read between the lines and look at who Coach Kelly's kind of been hyping up, when it comes to that cornerback room, it's something we talked about a lot, right? We said J.K. Johnson's rolling around with a cast on his leg on the scooter, so you kind of got to take him out of the running for now. But Coach Kelly mentioned 3 guys, and, these are, I think here on Off the Bench, we can feel a little validated because these are 2 of them, at least, are the names that we continue to mention. The first is Deuce Chestnut, the Syracuse transfer. Of course, he was all-conference at Syracuse last year. I mean, anytime you get an all-conference player, I don't care what conference you're playing, his chances are that dude's pretty good because he's outperforming his peers. And he had to miss spring because of injury, but apparently he's been everything that they had scouted on tape coming in. And then LaTerrence Welch. Remember, we kept talking about him. He's sophomore. He's a long kid. I don't know his exact height, but he feels very long.
I think he's about 6'2".
6'2"?
I think so.
Even? Because sometimes these corners, when they're like 6'1", look like 6'3" because you're used to them being smaller. So maybe get a height check. But either way, he's tall. He's very long, and he had a really damn good spring. And reports are that he's picked up right where he left off after spring. So potentially Deuce Chestnut and LaTerrence Welch, kind of your leaders on the outside.
He's listed at 6'1", 193.
Okay, there you go. But like I said, 6'1" for a quarterback is essentially 6'2", 6'3" for any other position. That's a long boy right there. And then the third cat that they mentioned is true freshman Ashton Stamps, who I don't know much about, to be honest. But certainly whenever Coach Kelly goes out of his way to mention a player, you then start to focus on that player a bit more. So in one of the most important questions facing this LSU football team, maybe right now, very early on. Remember, this is all, spring in a lot of ways is like qualifying, like a NASCAR race for pole position going into fall for this position battles. But this is the early portion of the race to who's going to determine who starts, right? Like, okay, you can lead for the first 50 laps, but if you don't finish, then what does that really mean, right? But it does seem like maybe Chestnut and Welch are in the lead right now.
Yo, Stamps is a great player. He played at Rummel. I broadcasted a game against U High where they came here and beat the Cubs, and he had the game-clinching interception. So he was a really good player at a good program.
Yeah, we were kind of hyping him up last week when you and Jake were out. Me and Mario were talking about it. He was my favorite DB that LSU signed in this class. I mean, he was only a 3-star, but kind of similar build to Cordell Flott, who was also a 3-star coming out of high school. And at the press conference yesterday, Kelly said he was a guy when he came in that really the only thing we needed was him to gain a little weight. Yes. He's up to almost 190 now. So he's a guy, he has the ability to play early. I really like his high school tape.
I mean, look, we've talked about it a lot. LSU actually one of the worst at taking advantage of 5-stars, but one of the best in the country at developing 3-stars. So maybe Ashton Stamp's going to be the latest in that number. Nice insight there, boys. So then going back to your insight, Taylor, you were boots on the ground yesterday at practice. What were your big takeaways?
Well, T-Bob, all we've talked about is how good this defensive line can be and how deep it is. The offensive line got the best of them yesterday.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. I mean, I was only there 15, 20 minutes, but where they kind of had us standing was right where the O-line, D-line, I mean, it was just 5-on-5 there. This O-line might be 8 deep right now. I mean, they look really good. Now, you're starting 5, same as last year. I mean, you have Campbell, Dellinger, Turner, Miles Frazier, Emory Jones, left to right. That's kind of what it was last year, but I'm not sure Marlon Martinez isn't just as good, if not better, than Charles Turner at center.
I have Marlon Martinez. Either way, he's your interior swingman.
He looked really good.
He can go anywhere in the interior.
Mason Lunsford looked really good.
Oh,
Real
that's
lean.
right. Forget about
really,
Lunsford.
really lean, which you can expect that from a 4-year guy. He doesn't have that baby fat anymore.
That's
Zalance
the
Hurd
Maryland
is
transfer, if you don't know who Mason Lunsford is.
Zalance Hurd is a monster.
Is he wearing 53?
He is wearing 53.
Okay.
Maybe needs to cut a little bit of weight, but I mean, the guy he's massive. He's manhandling people already. I mean, if any of those 3 guys had to step in and start, I mean, you'd probably feel pretty good about it right now. I mean, this O-line might be 8 deep, and they were getting the best of the D-line, including Mason Smith. I mean, I told you before the show, like, Mekhi Wingo made a couple plays, and then as far as, like, your depth pieces, Jordan Jefferson, he looked pretty good on the defensive line as well at tackle, but the O-line, like, really stood out yesterday at practice.
Yes. I mean, Taylor, that's why Taylor knows what part of the game to watch. Now, his favorite team may not know because they don't want to pay Zach Martin, but he knows what part of the game matters most. That's great news. Look, here's an interesting question I would pose to y'all in the chat. If LSU is going to win an SEC championship this year or win the West, right? Like if they're going to compete with Georgia legitimately to try to win the SEC and maybe make a playoff, what needs to be the strength of this team, offense or defense?
To win a championship?
Win a championship.
I mean, you know, this
I know
day,
what the traditional answer is here, but I feel like it's the offense.
Yeah, I was about to
I feel
say,
like
this
that's where
day
the
and age
majority
in
of your
college
talent
football.
lies. You have the quarterback that's second in Heisman voting. Like, the defense needs to be good enough. You can't be a bad defense, but I don't see this LSU defense carrying them to a championship. I can see this LSU offense doing
Well, they
that.
don't need to. Go back to 2019.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, oh, that team was so great. That defense was not elite. I mean, they finished 28th, 30th in the country. They were solid. They were not elite. You could see that again because what do they always say in camp, T-Bob? They're like, oh, well, the defense is a little ahead of the offense, but that's
True.
to be expected. All the reports out of campus, it's the other way around right now.
Yeah.
Like the receivers are dominating the DBs, which we kind of expected, but I got to be honest, the O-line was an eye-opener yesterday because that was kind of the biggest weakness on last year's team. You had a true freshman at left tackle. Charles Turner was a first-year starter. Dellinger was a first-year starter. Frazier was a transfer. You threw in Emory Jones like halfway through the season as a true freshman. I mean, all those guys are back. That's going to become a weakness to a strength. And, I mean, if you got a good O-line, that opens up everything.
Yeah, I agree, especially when you're trying to have Jaden Daniels take this demonstrable, huge step forward. Mario, I see you nodding. Are you in agreement? Do you have anything to add to it?
No, I totally agree. I think the offensive line, it's a positive development. It reminds me of 2017 a little bit when you threw Sadiq Charles and Ed Ingram into the fire.
Yeah,
they were really good right
true.
away. By 2019, they were champions. So you got to take advantage of that.
Look at my boys, dude. Look at the boys behind the glass. I got goosebumps right now, guys. Bring in the takes, bring in the insight this morning. That's the good stuff, guys. That's what we love here. That makes me very, very pleased. I need to get out to practice, too. I'm very jealous of you. It sounds like it was a good time. We'll definitely be going out to that player practice. I'm going to try to get some before. I just need these freaking kids to get back in school, man. It's killing my wife.
So wait, they're not back yet? Is it next week?
Tomorrow. And then next week, really. But yes.
I always hated that. Like, we went out in Livingston Parish when I was like a junior in high school. We always went back on a Friday.
Yeah.
You don't do anything on a Friday. It's a wasted day. Then you go back Monday. It's the first day all over again.
It's like, I don't know if y'all did this in high school, but 'cause I can't remember if we did in high school. But I think you do it. It's like when you do a simulated pregame for a game day, right? You're not actually doing anything. If you're going to go out, you go, okay, here's how we do it. CQ, you're going to go do your CQ exchange. You'll go out first. You'll come back in.
It's your Friday walkthrough, if you will.
Specialists will go out. Then you're going to go line up in your stretch lines, et cetera, and you go all the way up until when kickoff would happen. That's basically what it's a little acclimatization period. Ooh, I think I got there. I'm not 100%.
I'm not doing any of that anymore.
Bro, Mario, yesterday I walk into Southern Oak Athletic Club, where I've been a member for over a year now. Love it. Whatever. I'm going to get that quick workout in, like I said. And these three women at the front, who I've been seeing for months and months and months and months and months, stopped me. And it wasn't because of anything to do with the show. It was just the So Virginity clip. Even some young girl being like, yeah, that's saved my Instagram. It's so funny. Blah, blah. I'm like, oh, my God. Dude. This thing is blowing up. Again, bro, you need to embrace it.
I guess.
No, not I guess. I'm telling you. You are the only one applying this level of judgment to yourself. It's just funny. You need to embrace it.
I think it's awesome, Mario.
Yeah,
if you become famous off the back of the video that I made, I get to be your agent.
Yeah,
that's a fair trade-off.
You'd make the shirts.
You'd be a responsible agent.
Okay, I'll be your agent. That's fine. Mario's the next influencer.
Well, maybe AI Mario, but that's for the third hour. We'll get there in hour number 3. All right, when we get back, let's maybe shift a little bit to the Saints, but I do want to hear if anybody says anything interesting enough in chat, I'll bring it up in terms of whether you think the offense or the defense has to be better if LSU's going to win a championship. More OTB coming up next.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Look, we love welcoming in new members of the team here, and Brandon Golson and Community Steel are officially on Team OTB. And look, they're going to work for you. Okay, if you're a contractor, a roofer, if you're just an individual that needs steel products, you want to go with Community Steel. They got their shop right there in Gonzales. It's massive. They can fabricate whatever you need, beams, parts, whatever. They're one of the few mills that sells to the public. And the best part is, if you're in this business, you know this. A lot of this is you're just having to do orders online or like with like an automated system, right? And it's from somebody out of town. When you work with Community Steel, you call 225-647-2020. So 647-2020, they have a live, local, boots-on-the-ground sales team that is going to get you, your company, exactly what you need. CommunitySteelCo.com. Community Steel, 647-2020.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Scona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. The Tigers have the day off from fall camp, but the Saints are back at it. We'll be in Metairie getting you a Saints training camp report. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the rhythm of my life. This is the rhythm of the night. This is the rhythm of my life. This is the rhythm of the night.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Eric Ingram says, I feel like people are sleeping on the 2019 defense. They weren't 2011 or 2003, but they were more than just serviceable. 3 games were close, and we were up 3 scores on Bama at half. The offense was the greatest ever, but the defense ensured that our offense was able to tally up huge leads and we could coast. Well, yeah, I mean, look, and I think that's what we're kind of saying, though, is that would be a bit of the same relationship that I would see between this year's team, because when you look offensively, you really have no question marks. Like maybe at running back. When you look defensively, although I like the names you have there, you have question marks at corner, you have question marks at edge on the defensive line, you have question marks at safety. So, you know, it's just not going to be your better side of the ball. And yes, to defend 2019 as well, also like it's not fair to compare them to 2011 or 2003 because they're different styles of football. The style of football that we played in 2011 was about as conducive to great defense as you could possibly hope for, right? It was all slow the game down, burn the clock, give the defense time to rest. Now, granted, sometimes you put them in really bad spots by like 3 and outs, and all this stuff, but it's kind of it's a bit different from the more modern era now where the 2019 defense just had to field a lot more opportunity. Like they just had to deal with the other team having the ball a lot more and getting more plays than you would in like a 2011. So it's a different era of football, which is also what we're getting at there, right? This is an era of football where it is harder and harder for a defense to carry you to a championship. Even Georgia, who you would likely say that that's how Georgia's done it the last couple of years, right? And you say, oh, well, you know, the song remains the same, defense wins championships. Well, yes, but also look, in Ohio State, it wasn't the defense that won that game. It was Stetson Bennett getting it done. The national championship a couple of years ago. Certainly, I mean, like Stetson Bennett was MVPs of all those playoff and semifinal, or the semifinal and championship games. So, and also it's tough to say, oh, just be like Georgia because they're the only team that is still getting it done that much on the defensive side of the ball and having that much success. So it's like, it's always tough when you say, oh, why don't you just emulate this outlier? Okay, well, they're an outlier for a reason. It's not exactly very clear on how you're supposed to emulate that. So yeah, it's again, don't take this as any disrespect towards the 19 defense. I mean, you had Patrick Queen, Jacob Phillips, Rashard Lawrence, Calebon Chason. I don't know. I know I'm forgetting guys that I should be mentioning, but they were good. They were good, but they're not the reason you won. Like Champ says, defenses don't win crap no more. QBs win championships. Yeah, I guess so, which is why the Saints are going to win the Super Bowl because they have Derek Carr now, a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. But see, technically true. Yep, can't argue with that. Speaking of defense, so the Saints are going to have to get better there. I'm interested to talk to Ross about this coming up next and seeing the impact or how the Saints are looking to accomplish this. But, Mario, you put a Jeff Duncan tweet in here that's pretty fantastic. It says, to put into perspective how bad the 2022 Saints were enforcing turnovers, the 2009 Super Bowl team had 39 takeaways and returned 8 of them for touchdowns. Darren Sharper alone had 9 interceptions, more than the entire Saints defense had last season. Sharper alone had 9 picks. The Saints had 7 picks all of last year. Think about what's crazy. They returned more turnovers for touchdowns in 2009 than the Saints had picks last year. That's now granted, this is a bit kind of, I guess I'm talking on both sides of my mouth because we are highlighting somewhat of an outlier here. Like, that's why you won the Super Bowl. The defense was kind of this just amazing bend but don't break and create massive plays sort of defense. Like, they weren't a just shut you down like 85 Bears, you're not going to move the ball, but they found this way to just to turn the ball over. 39 takeaways. So, yeah, the Saints have to get drastically better in that regard. And I know that's been a focus during camp, but you never quite know if, like, it's tough. Like, if it was just easy to say, oh, well, now we're going to focus on turnovers and we're going to create them, every team would, right? I mean, everybody knows the values of turnovers. So every coach is always trying to come up with ways to get his team to create more of those plays. It's just, I mean, do you have the players? I don't know. There's a certain je ne sais quoi, certain combination of elements that has to come into play for your team to be able to accomplish that goal. This is also pretty intriguing that you put in here, Mario, and that's that you can expect to see a lot of these regular starters in game number 1 against the Chiefs on Sunday. And look, if you in the Hall of Fame game is always a bit different because it's so early. But I mean, if you watch it, you got Zach Wilson versus Kellen Mond, right? You didn't get Deshaun Watson. You didn't get Aaron Rodgers. And I understand why, but it looks like if you tune into the Saints on Sunday, I wouldn't expect to see Pat Mahomes, but it sounds like you will see Derek Carr. Coach Allen saying, quote, "It's a new season, a new group. I want to see our guys play." Any worries about getting the starters in there on Sunday?
Not really. I mean, guys can get hurt at any time during training camp and the practices. And for what it's worth, I had heard, and I went to practice on Sunday, the defense has been dominating the offense. It's been kind of the inverse of what we're hearing from LSU's practice. And there were a few times, you could ask Ross on Sunday's practice, where Carr was like visibly frustrated. I think he himself wants to go out there and have some success against a team that's wearing different colors. I think it's a good thing.
Okay, we will explore that with Ross in a bit, because I don't know that I would have had it like that in the onset. I mean, I guess Nick did say that Marshawn Lattimore looks like he's set up for like an all-pro season.
It kind of makes sense, though, right, that the starters are going to play. I mean, Carr's new to this team.
Yeah.
Jamal Williams is new to this team.
Yep.
Kendre Miller's a rookie. It's like as many veterans as you have on this team.
Like Penny needs the reps.
You got a lot of new guys. Your D-line outside of Cam Jordan, I mean, they need the game reps as well.
Brazil needs the reps.
Typically, I'm like, leave your starters out. I don't hate this.
Yeah, this preseason is going to be a little bit more fun to broadcast for me. You're going to have a lot more guys that are players during the season.
Is this a 3-game preseason? Am I done?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, we're into the 3-game
because when they added
era.
the 17th game, they took away a preseason.
Right, okay. So that also kind of changes the math on all of this as well. You got less opportunity to get ready. All right. So look forward to Sunday, where you can actually get a couple of drives with that New Orleans Saints offense. And again, if you watch any Hard Knocks, you know that there's nothing as exciting as getting a new quarterback, as pretty much the entire episode last night was just centered, at least what I saw, the first like 20 minutes was just centered around Aaron Rodgers, and you could see just how incredibly relieved and pleased and happy the players, the coaches, the fans, and boys. Granted, you know, I've never seen Aaron Rodgers on Hard Knocks before, so I've never really watched him practice, and we knew this watching him play, but that boy can spin it. I mean, he can still. That arm strength was something else watching that show last night. The delivery is so freaking smooth, dude. I feel good that that y'all made sure to put him in our top 5 NFL quarterbacks yesterday. All right, here's what we're gonna do. Let's go to break, and then when we get back, I want to talk to Ross Jackson about exactly what Mario was talking about. Right, we'll get some of that boots on the ground. Ross been at all the practice. He's heading up to practice right now. More off the bench coming up.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
is a taco more than just a taco when it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way.
Hey, it's not. Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. It's a What If Wednesday. J.D. Piquel of On3 Sports talking college football. On Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
No place like New Orleans. Yeah. Yeah.
Trombone shorty and them boys.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Yo, what's happening, y'all? Favorite album right there. Is it 2021 now at this point?
I
I think so.
Yeah, 2 years.
Because I remember I was listening to it constantly around the time when I had that Hogs for the Cause experience that got me suspended for a year. Shout out John Baptiste. One day I will see you live, and it will make my life. Let's go to the phone lines right now. We got Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On Saints podcast, does a ton with the Locked On Podcast Network as a whole, at Ross Jackson NOLA on Twitter. Ross, what's happening, man? How are we doing today?
Hey, guys. Doing wonderful. How are y'all doing this morning?
Doing quite well. We were just discussing the Saints camp thus far, and I'm going to start with a very broad question here, Ross. When you're scoring it, you're a judge and you're watching the boxing match between the two sides of the ball, offense, defense. How do you have it scored thus far? Who has the upper hand?
Oh, right now I would definitely give that to the defense. The defense has been absolutely outstanding for the Saints so far. It doesn't mean that you should push the panic button on the offense. Just kind of the way that I've been saying it is that, look, when you set out to build the NFL's best defense, the downside of that is that your offense has to play against the best defense every single day. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't always work out so well on both sides. But it works out incredibly well in terms of what the Saints have been able to do over on the defensive side. So I would give the defense absolutely that nod for now.
Well, I've always called it the eternal camp paradox, right? Is my offense bad or my defense good? Now, I think if I'm a Saints fan, there's ample evidence that the defense was good, right? They finished top 10 in scoring last year. So, you can at least feel like, yes, you're probably going against one of the NFL's better units here, and so that'll make you better in the end. Plus, beginning of camp, I feel like defense tends to have some advantages. Okay, so the defense has been clearly winning. In what ways have they been winning? Ross I know Marshawn Lattimore is having a great camp. Is it just with shutdown coverage? Is the defensive line winning? How have they been accomplishing it?
Yeah, it's been really, really tight coverage across the board. Marshall Lattimore is absolutely a part of that. I would include Paulson Adebo in there as well, who I think right now has a big-time stronghold on that CB2 spot.
Really?
Opposite
Okay.
Marshawn. Yeah, I think I would put him ahead on that right now. And then I think the other thing that you're watching, too, is a lot of winning on the defensive line. Now, it's not like an unbearable amount where you get really worried about the Saints offensive line, but it is there. And I think that's a good thing. And I think a big part of the reason why has been because of the mentality that defensive line coach Todd Grantham has brought in. He's brought in a mentality that's a little bit more about making plays. And I think the way that Tono Passanio, one of the Saints defensive ends who's versatile enough to play inside and out, I kind of broke it down for us last week, is that they're kind of being taught, like, don't worry so much about being right if you have the opportunity to make a play. Because if you can make the play, you were right by making the play. And so I think that it's a lot of those types of mentalities that have really kind of leaned in well for guys who are explosive and who can make plays like Paul Granderson and Peyton Turner, who's really looked to have at least turned the consistency corner so far this offseason. He's looked really good on multiple days and a lot of days in a row, as opposed to last year where we kind of saw him stacking moments. I think it's fair to say he's been stacking days in this year's camp, and that's a good thing for him. And so I think that those two spots in particular, coverage and pass rush, which there's a symbiotic nature between the two of those, that those are the two things that have really kind of stood out as why the Saints defense has been winning thus far.
Well, and yeah, I mean, that's great to hear, because if you want to be a top defense in the NFL, coverage and pass rush are going to be the keys to doing so. How in the world did I miss that Todd Grantham's a defensive line coach now? Todd Grantham is maybe the owner of one of the funniest faces in all of just the public. Look at the picture that I just put in the document, boys. This man looks like a human turtle. It's unbelievable. I'm sorry, Ross. I got a little distracted once you learned me that. Ross Jackson Nola, host of the Locked On Saints podcast. Every day, Ross uploading very valuable, great insight into this New Orleans Saints team, getting you ready for the season. Preseason game, I mean, I don't know if you're watching online right now, Ross. Look at that, man. That's a turtle face. 100%, dude. Anyway, Sunday's preseason game coming up against the Chiefs. Dennis Allen talking about how he's planning to play the starters here. From what you've seen in practice, what are you most excited to see now going against another team on Sunday?
I think that this is the opportunity to where, like, you've watched the offense, you watched the defense win so much, but not necessarily watch the offense struggle. So I think that what I'm most excited to see is kind of like, what does this offense look like against a defense that doesn't know what it's going to do, right? That hasn't been playing against, or that hasn't been playing against its offense every single day, which I think is one of those things that it's one of the reasons why those joint practices are so exciting, because you finally get to hit somebody else for a change.
True.
Instead of the same guy over and over again. So I think that that's the thing that I'm really looking forward to seeing. And I love that Dennis Allen's going out directly and immediately and putting some of those starters out there, because it's going to give you a really good idea of kind of where they are, and then they can spend the rest of the training camp and the practices leading into those remaining preseason games kind of tinkering with that and getting those things figured out. So it seems like a good diagnosis opportunity for the Saints offense. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that part for sure.
We've had some conversations that have kind of spoken to the vibe around camp this year, maybe how it's a bit different from the past, or from last year specifically, where maybe last year is like all like kind of a bit more lax, maybe a bit more comfortable, where this year it looks like they're going a little harder. Have you seen that? Is that accurate? Like, how would you interpret just the kind of feeling of camp in year 2 of Dennis Allen as compared to year 1?
Yeah, I would say that there's definitely a different intensity this time. That's not to say that there wasn't an intensity last year, but there certainly wasn't as much intensity as there is this year. I mean, you're hearing, Dennis Allen, getting into players and, especially when there's like false starts and procedural issues and things like that, which we haven't seen a ton of. We haven't really seen any of that on the first team. We've seen it a couple times, second team, third team, which is kind of to be expected. But, that has not been taken lightly, though. Just because it's a second team, just because it's a third team, just because it's the rookie quarterback or whatever, it doesn't mean that Dennis Allen's just kind of sitting back and going, it's just that's going to happen. No, he has been in those players every single time and like on top of those players every single time that those things happen. And so you're hearing that from him. You're hearing that from, the coaching that's coming from guys like Marcus Robinson, who has, that player intensity, right? He's a former player. Todd Grantham has a lot of that intensity. Doug Marrone has a lot of that intensity.
Yeah.
So you're hearing it from all over the coaching staff on both sides of the ball. And look, Derek Carr has that intensity too. And the players have that intensity. And so they're also holding themselves accountable or each other accountable. Derek Carr is the kind of guy to where if they miss on a route during practice, they're in the training facility after hours, or not after hours, but after the practice is done, reworking that route concept until they feel good about it. And so a lot of that kind of extra work that we didn't see, like the extracurriculars that we didn't see last year, we're seeing a lot of this year.
Ross, so I know Chris Olave has been doing very well. How's our boy Mikey Thomas doing?
Yeah, I think he's coming along. I wouldn't call him 100% yet. I think that he said something in his presser the other day that I really loved, where he was kind of like, I don't really know what 100% is. Like, let me find that out, and I'll let you know when I'm there, kind of. Which I think is a valid point, because he's the only one that knows his body. We don't. And so I think that he's just, one of those guys that's kind of continuing to come along. But I think he'll turn that corner, and he'll be a very good brand of Michael Thomas. I don't think he's going to be 2019 Michael Thomas again. Like, let's just be real.
Yeah.
But he also doesn't have to be. 2019 Michael Thomas didn't have Chris Olave. He didn't have Rashid Shaheed, Juwan Johnson, Boston Moreau, Jimmy Graham, maybe. He didn't have those guys. You know what I mean? They had, maybe Ted Ginn Jr. for a little bit, but otherwise you had like Traquan Smith.
Alvin Kamara, right?
He had Alvin Kamara, right. Yeah, and then you won't even have Alvin Kamara for the first 3 games this year too. So he's going to get his opportunities, but he's not somebody you're going to have to rely on 100% of the time. So I think he'll get there. But look, he's winning when he's going up against the non-Marshawn Lattimores of the world. That's just how good Marshawn Lattimore has been now.
Who most needs the reps on Sunday out of any position?
Yeah, I think if I were to look at a certain position group,
even a player. Sorry, I mean just any player. Like who do you think most needs some reps on Sunday?
Yeah, I think I would put Trevor Penning there.
Yep, that's exactly where my head was at. Yeah.
Yeah, not to say that he's struggling or doing poorly or anything like that, but like the guy just didn't get a lot of opportunities last year to do real live in-game action. He missed the first 12 games of the season. He played throughout the preseason, and then he got to start that final game of the year. And so really the only times that you've seen him get considerable playing time, the preseason and that final game of the year, it ended with what would have effectively been big-time injuries, or what were big-time injuries. With a dislocated toe first, and then I believe it was the rib sprain second. And so I think you want to see, or whatever that other issue was with this foot. And so I think you want to see him go out there, even not just for the Saints, even not just for the team, but for himself, go out there, play considerable snaps, and then walk off the field at the end of the game. Like, I think that mentally would be very good for him.
Ross Jackson, at Ross Jackson Nola on Twitter, host of the Locked On Saints podcast. Great daily content, eyes on every practice, every development. Also, the entire Locked On network for whatever team you're a fan of. I know now that it's camp time, content's just pumping out even more insane than normal. Ross, tell everybody what y'all got going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, over on the NFL side, doing a lot of great work. We have a lot of our folks that are there at the training camps, getting firsthand experience, getting firsthand knowledge of what their teams are doing the same thing. A lot of us are doing 2 shows a day. I'm actually publishing my first show of the day now, and then once practice is over, I'll do another show to kind of let you know what's going on afterwards. So the NFL might not allow 2-a-days anymore, but Locked On does, so we're doing them.
Ross, thank you so much, man. You have a great morning.
Appreciate you guys. You take care, bud.
How about that 2 days, dude? Putting in that work, man. All right, coming up next, let's close out hour number 1 of OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to allstartoyotabatonrouge.com, allstartoyotabatonrouge.com. Or go see them off Airline Highway. You don't have to go to the website. Even though the website's a good place to start if you kind of want to get an idea, maybe some of the deals that are available to you, maybe some of the vehicles that are available to you, maybe just what you are looking for. I mean, we do live in a day and age where, thanks to All-Star Express, you can actually order your vehicle right there from the website. I still like dealing with human beings when I do a purchase this large, and I love the human beings over there at All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge. So you go show up, and maybe you have a number, maybe you don't really know, maybe you have a type of vehicle you want like a big Tundra, maybe you want a hybrid, maybe you want a sedan like I have in the Camry. The point is, All-Star, from a price, selection, customizability, and most importantly, customer service standpoint, is the best place to go. Remember, every new or Toyota certified used vehicle comes with Toyota Care. Go to allstartoyotabatonrouge.com today.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you.
What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. The Tigers have the day off from fall camp, but the Saints are back at it. We'll be in Metairie getting you a Saints training camp report. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Do you remember 21st night, September? Love was changing the minds, pretenders, while chasing the clouds away. Our hearts was ringing in the key that our souls were singing as we danced in the night. Remember how the stars stole the night away. Oh yeah.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
You feel it, boys? Fall in the air? Not yet. Not yet. Wait, it's August, Mario. What's going on here?
Almost. We're almost there. Preseason.
We'll take it, dude.
Precursor to regular season. Yeah, we'll take it.
No scoonch of fall to be found yet. Have y'all ever seen It's a Wonderful Life?
Yeah, once.
Okay.
Yeah.
With old man Potter and whatnot. Because I saw some quotes from Greg Sankey that remind me of old man Potter when he's, expressing to George Bailey, George, I'm sorry it didn't work out, but don't worry, you come work for me and whatever. He's basically like apologizing. You tried your best. I'm sorry it didn't work out. Even though the reason why it didn't work out was because of Mr. Potter. So, excuse me, Commissioner Sankey, if I don't take your comments to ESPN yesterday at face value, where he says, quote, he feels a little, quote, a little tinge of sadness, probably more than just a little, seeing the Pac-12 on the verge of collapse after more than 100 years of existence, saying it just wasn't one of those great feelings to work in college football, in my experience. And he goes on to say, I take responsibility where we've made moves, but there was something different last week about the questions around the existence of the Pac-12 conference, given its long and storied history. And it was then said that he called Washington State AD Pat Chun and Stanford AD Bernard Murr to console them after the news, saying, quote, I don't have any solutions, but I have great empathy. I'm guessing that those guys are probably saying, take your empathy and stuff it, okay? Because, like, you can feel bad about it, but the SEC started this all. Like we said, the SEC's power grab was one of naked conquest. And there's something more noble in that, I suppose, in which it was simply, we are more powerful, we want to be even more big and powerful, and so we're going to take your best two teams, or your biggest two brands, Big 12. What the Big Ten did, like we said, was more insidious. He invited the Pac-10 over to their house, scouted them out, and then eviscerated them and ripped them to shreds. But make no mistake, the original domino does lie with Greg Sankey, so I can't imagine what it felt like to be the Washington State or Stanford ADs and have Sankey call you and act all sanctimonious and sad. I'm sure they were feeling a bit like George Bailey at that moment. Like, okay, Potter, you know what? Just take it. You win again. Just go collect all your rent money, you slumlord, and leave us here to try to figure things out because we don't know what the hell is going to happen next for us. I feel really bad for the Stanford head coach, Troy Taylor, who I'm actually a pretty big fan of. The guy's got a real interesting story. He's basically like an offensive theorist who was coaching high school football. He went to college, had some success, then as a coordinator at like Utah and whatnot. Then he goes to Sacramento State, a team that's been terrible. They immediately win a bunch of games, go to the playoffs, all things they hadn't done before, and then he gets his Stanford head job, and I really wanted to see how far he could take it. And he said, I saw a quote from today where Taylor was talking about how, look, their goal is to be in the Power 5, but I just don't know. I just don't know how exactly that would be possible. But a little tinge of sadness, probably more than just a little. And I get what Sankey's saying. Like I don't, just because you make the move that eventually does end the Pac-12, which, again, we haven't really mentioned much. It's been around for 100 years. And it's rare for institutions to last that long and collapse in the way that the Pac-12 did. It takes a special confluence of bad events for that to happen. And so, like, I do understand that you can be the man kind of responsible for it, but also feel a bit of sadness for it. But I just think it comes off as a little Potter-esque, putting those emotions out there so publicly and so forwardly. What is this? Everybody's still talking about their fried food and whatnot in there. It's a Wonderful Life is not a touchy subject with me. It's just a fantastic movie. It's a real good movie. Ryan Brack says Tim's in the 90s are going to feel amazing compared to what we have now. True. We'll be there not too long. Keep the faith. Right when football starts back up, Scooch Fall will be in the air, and we will be rocking and rolling. Kids starting school next. When we get back, hour number 2, let's open with the Ballad of Ben Mintz.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to RejuveMeMedical.com. Restore me, refuel me, rejuve me. I'm always talking about HRT, and look, I've done HRT, and it was awesome, dude. But look, the point is that's because I went in and I got my labs drawn, and I had the T of like a 60-year-old man, and so I needed it, right? Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. Go get your labs drawn. See where your body's deficient, where it's strong. They've actually caught some serious issues in these, when drawing these labs, and this is non-exaggeration. I know at least 2, but there's more out there, but at least 2 that I know personally whose lives were quite literally saved by getting the information therein. So go in for that free consult. And then look, man, they do everything. If it's male aging, female aging, if you feel like you're deficient strength, you got fatigue, insomnia, mood and memory problems, sexual dysfunction, thyroid deficiency, weight gain. They can help treat it all at Rejuve Medical. Restore me, refuel me, Rejuve.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you.
Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Good morning, everybody. It is 8 a.m. on Wednesday, August 9th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect sunny skies with a high of 99. Coming up on OTB, Wilson Alexander of The Advocate joins the show at 8:15. You can follow today's show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel and subscribe for daily content. Hour number 2 of Off the Bench, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo! What's happening, y'all? Welcome back. Hour number 2, OTB. We're going to start to dip into some of the weird here. The true weird's not coming till hour 3. But we're going to start with the Ballad of Ben Mintz. Pretty crazy news yesterday. I know many of you are Barstool sports fans. I know Louisiana was actually, when it comes to the Barstool Sportsbook, a sportsbook which, as we'll discuss, kind of struggled to break through the main. I know Louisiana was one of the main hotbeds that actually did break through. Everybody very excited about the Barstool Sportsbook over there at LaBerge and everything. Well, suddenly, out of nowhere yesterday, everything changed. Now, before we get into this, do remind you guys, we're going to talk to Wilson Alexander coming up at 8:15, and he'll give us, his take. He's been all the practices at LSU. We'll pepper him with Tiger questions. If you want to get some Ask Wilson questions in the chat, feel free to do so. And if they're good enough, we'll ask Wilson. Let's talk about Ben Mintz, though. So this is pretty insane here. This is a story that actually kind of boggles the mind a bit. That this cat who, when I first met him, was at Mardi Gras years ago, partying. I barely knew him at the time. He was a professional poker player, and he had this just gravelly smoker's voice that spoke to someone that you just knew was a true degenerate. Like the second that you talked to him, you just knew he was. And that's when I was like, bro, you got to start coming on the radio. That's me and Jordy at the time. So you got to start coming on the radio and, be our gambling guy. That's what you do, right? So he does that. Then next thing you know, he's doing, radio up in Shreveport, doing afternoons, like 3 to 6, going on Friday with him. Comes here for a bit. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, due to a video of him, getting crazy after Ole Miss, Kentucky, Dave Portnoy hops in his DM, calls up, and he's at Barstool. But now that same cat who was just, playing poker, doing afternoon drive up there in North Louisiana, that same cat has been at the center of a vortex that has caused literal billions of dollars to change hands. Maybe multiple billions is not completely accurate, but it does get over 1 billion. Hundreds of millions of dollars that kind of swirl around Mincy. It's almost unlike anything I've ever seen. So for those that maybe missed the news yesterday, Dave Portnoy yesterday bought Barstool Sports. He now, or once again, bought, as we'll see, maybe a bit of a funny way of saying it, but Dave Portnoy now owns 100% of Barstool Sports once again. The craziest thing about this is, if you remember, when they opened up the Barstool Sportsbook, however long that was ago, like 3 years, I don't know exactly how long, when they partnered with Penn Gaming bought, I think it was 50% maybe, but they bought the majority or maybe a slight minority of Barstool. They paid Dave Portnoy $550 million to buy in. And the idea was simple, right? Penn wanted to break into the gambling space in the same way that DraftKings and FanDuel were, and as mobile gambling and everything else was going to go live, Barstool seemed as connected to the youth as anybody, right? So if you get that Barstool brand, well, and it worked here in Louisiana in a lot of ways, but if you get that Barstool brand, then okay, then you're going to be, you'll have immediate inroads to people coming to your site and gambling in your ecosystem. So that was the idea. Now, that did not come to pass, and it's for many reasons, right? The kind of very upright regulatory requirements to run a gambling company were definitely at odds with Barstool's kind of pirate ship sort of feeling, if you will. Also, Barstool enjoyers tend to be on the younger side, less disposable income. You're not getting maybe some of the deeper pockets that you would hope for. And as we'll see, it's why Penn ends up making the move that they did, where if you missed it, they agreed to a deal with ESPN, where now ESPN is going to be paying them. What did I do with my sheet here? Sorry, 1 second, y'all. ESPN is going to be paying them. They just signed a $1.5 billion deal for 10 years, where actually Penn's going to be paying ESPN. They're going to make ESPN bet. And obviously ESPN has a way bigger reach than Barstool does. They got a little bit older audience. It is the House of Mouse. They have that cleaner image, so you're not dealing with, regulators being worried about partnering up here, et cetera, et cetera. But let's go back to Ben real quick. So Penn buys Barstool for $550 million from Dave Portnoy. How much do you think it cost Dave to get Barstool back 100%?
Less than that.
Yep, you're right about that.
Wait, how much?
How much do you think Portnoy paid to get back 100% of Barstool Sports?
No, I'm saying how much was...
$500 million.
It was $550 million that Penn originally bought it for. $500 million. How much do you think he paid to get it back? Because the stock crashed. Remember, the stock did not do well. It opened high. He paid $0. $0. Imagine selling something for $550 million and then paying $0 to get it back.
Yeah, you lost
no cash up
nothing
front
and gained $500 million.
Yeah, no
you
cash
lost
up front.
absolutely nothing.
And he still has a ton of Penn stock, which now they're part of the ESPN. Maybe the Penn stock goes up. And you may be saying, well, how is that possible? Well, it's a couple of reasons. First off, very clearly, Penn wanted out and wanted to get with ESPN. The deal with Barstool was just an unmitigated failure. Now, in terms of what Portnoy had to agree with, how do you get it for $0? There are a couple of key things to point out. They do have a non-compete, so Barstool Sports cannot advertise for any gambling companies and whatnot, which is going to be interesting to see, given that, this was a company for the last 3 years or however long that's been all it was gambling content to push sportsbook, because that was the key. That's what had to happen. So now they cannot, they can still do their gambling shows and everything, and I'm sure they will do a lot of them still. Because, that's kind of the core ethos of Barstool. They were like regular guys who like to gamble in sports and everything, right? But they cannot accept advertising money from from FanDuel, DraftKings, whoever, to advertise, which is a bit interesting. They'll have to figure that out because that was a large source of maybe some of their income. So they got a non-compete, and then if Portnoy ever does liquidate or sell in the future, Penn would get 50% of that sell. Now, for whatever it's worth, Portnoy yesterday in his emergency press conference says that he is never going to sell again, and that, he'll pass it down to Big Cat or KFC or their kids, yada, 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 whatever the case may be. So, again, really wrap your head around selling something for $550 million and then getting it back for nothing. And then understand, and maybe that's just because I watched Oppenheimer yesterday, and so I have chain reactions on the mind, but understand that a lot of this, the final nail in the coffin, in a lot of ways, goes back to Ben Mintz. Remember, he had the Wake Up Mintz show, in which I can't remember what song he was rapping, but he was rapping, and he said the N-word with not with a hard R, but, whatever. I don't know if people want to rehash it or if people even care if it matters. I'm not the person to adjudicate whether or not you should be upset about it, but whatever. Ben does this normally. Barstool, that's their kind of thing. They're very anti-cancel culture. He would have been completely fine, but because of their responsibilities to Penn and regulators and whatnot, they were very clear that, Penn made it clear that Ben had to be fired. And this had a couple of interesting knock-on effects. First of which is it completely enraged the very fan base that Penn was originally going after with the deal, right? All the Barstool fans got very mad. This is not, the Barstool culture of the way, blah, blah, blah. So you've pissed off the very fan base that you paid the $550 million for originally. And then even more impactfully on top of that, it exposed a lot of kind of market weakness where if something meant slipping up in that way is the difference between you getting approved by a board or not, which was a lot of the talk, right? We're trying to get these licenses approved and we don't know if we can in these states with stuff like this happening. If that is the dividing line between you get approved a lot, how do I feel confident as an investor? You can't. And so here's an excerpt from Darren Rovell's piece for the Action Network. And this will give you a monetary idea of how much impact this seemingly insignificant event had. Quote, in May, after a Barstool employee uttered a racial slur on air, Portnoy refused to fire the employee. Eventually, after making a show of it, he acquiesced to demands from his bosses at Penn. Stooley's reacted with rage, and Penn's stock price plummeted 14%. Barstool's parent company lost about $633 million on paper as a direct result of the company's behavioral nature. So they paid the $550 million originally. The stock already dropped from that after it opened. Again, the stock wasn't doing well to begin with. And then after the mints, another $660 million lost. And at that point, Penn knows we got to get out of this. They start looking for an out. ESPN wants a partner. ESPN wants an in. And now Penn is paying ESPN $1.5 billion to use their platform to try to get into your wallet. Hey, fascinating tale where let's just do some rough math that I'm sure all you actual business types are you're going to tell me this is ridiculous and you can't add it in this way, but whatever. I host a sports show, so I'm just going to do what I want. Let's do 550 million originally, 600. Let's just keep round numbers. 500 million, 600 million, 1.5 billion. We're at about what, $2.7 billion? And a lot of it centers around the guy who used to host Afternoon Drive up in Shreveport.
I produced his show. I would help him connect. This is unreal.
It is wild. Now, what I want to do here, we're going to go to break. We're going to look at Wilson. When we get back, I do want to talk a bit more about the ESPN angle on this because it's is it a bit greasy, right? I mean, you already have a company that has kind of taken control of college football and shaped college football with its television investment and the rise of the SEC and the SEC network. And you look at Fox as well now. Fox tried to get in the gambling space with Fox Bet. It failed. They just had to shutter it recently. So let's explore the ESPN angle a bit more later on this hour. But right now, I mean, what? Oh, and by the way, Portnoy, right when he gets Barstool back 100%, literally, like the first thing he does is call Ben Mintz and rehire him. And you can expect to see Ben back on Barstool content very soon. So the ballad of Ben Mintz continues, and it is, who just turned 40, by the way. Happy birthday, Ben. It is certainly, it's just unreal. It is just unreal. It is an Oppenheimer-esque chain reaction, all centered around, like it's like how you build the nuke in Los Alamos, right in the middle of the desert in New Mexico. Billions of dollars swirling around this cat who's been staying with his old man up in Monroe here recently. Shout out Mincy. When we get back, let's talk to Wilson Alexander about some LSU football practice. Get your Ask Wilson questions in the chat. We'll get to them. More OTB coming up next.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Get Gordon and get it done, folks. 225-888-8888. The father of the G team. Who, look, the Gordon content machine is out of control right now. You want to follow him on Instagram at Get Gordon. You can follow him anywhere on social media at Get Gordon. But like, we're talking some interviews with your favorite athletes, sit downs. You get insights into like Mason Smith, Harold Perkins, get pumped up for football season. We're talking about just general tips about life, business. How do you handle situations? We're talking about tips about how to handle accidents and what you need to do, how to protect yourself, legal. Like, it is wild how varied what you can find coming out of the Gordon team is. Go check it out. And remember, if you like the billboards, you want to design your own billboard contest going on right now through August 31st. 31st? Why did I say that with a lisp? Winner going to get paid, and also, you get to say, hey, look, you see that billboard? Yeah, I made that. How about that? Good luck beating Lavacato. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Get Gordon, get it done. 225-888-8888.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota 4Runner for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota 4Runner for only $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. It's a What If Wednesday. J.D. Pickell of On3 Sports talking college football. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
From being Bud Light. Welcome back to OTB. T-Bob, Mario, and Taylor hanging out with you today. Right now, let's go. Did you call Wilson? Let's go to phone lines. We got our guy, Wilson Alexander, Whale Alexander on X. Wilson, what's up, man? How you doing today?
Doing well. How you doing this morning, T-Bob?
Doing well. We're getting excited. We've been talking a lot of sports. We're kind of ready to stop talking sports. I want to start talking about AI influencers and like Oppenheimer and stuff, but we're almost there. But we're gonna rely on you, Wilson, here to give us some insight into LSU practice. I have not been out there thus far. I've not gotten to see this team. You've been out there every day watching as much as you can. You've been doing some excellent reporting, of which we've been relaying every day. Of course, you can always find Wilson's work in The Advocate. It's fantastic. Let's start here. It's a very broad question. It's the same thing that I asked Ross Jackson to start his kind of Saints portion of this, and that is thus far in camp, if you're like a judge, a boxing judge, and you're scoring this, who has had the upper hand, the offense or the defense?
The offense thus far has had the upper hand, especially when you look at the totality of it with one-on-ones and 7-on-7. The wide receivers have been really, I think, a step ahead of the defensive backs at this point. This is an offense, of course, as we know, that has so much that's coming back, and I think that continuity is kind of showing up early on here in camp. The defense has been making a few more plays over the last few days. In particular, Andre Sam had an interception in 11-on-11. There was a few more pass breakups. They did like a sort of a scripted 2-minute drill that even when there was an incompletion, because kind of the offense kept moving anyway. And the defense actually seemed like it might have won that yesterday. So I would say the offense had the upper hand coming right out of the gate, but the defense is maybe catching up a little bit, starting to find itself as you put all these new guys together in the secondary.
So to open the show, Taylor, our producer, he was at practice yesterday, and from what he got to see, he came away very impressed with the offensive line. Now, this is a defensive line that, at least in the interior, is going to be as good as anyone in the country with Mekhi Wingo and Mason Smith. But do you feel like, has the offensive line been maybe the the standout thus far in the battle between those two? Or where would you maybe rank the O-line when it comes to the most impressive position groups thus far?
It's certainly up there. This is a group that looks much improved from last season. The experience that those guys got together last year is showing up pretty early on. And the way that they're going with the defensive lines is kind of just back and forth. I mean, this is what Brian Kelly said at the Rotary Club was two of the strengths of this team, and you're seeing that, I think, right away. I mean, especially in one-on-ones, they're just going back and forth in terms of who's winning. But the offensive linemen are really holding up because you knew this was some really powerful and talented defensive linemen with Mason Smith and Jacoby and Guillory and Mekhi Wingo and Jordan Jefferson, the West Virginia transfer, looks really good. And so, but this offensive line's holding its own really, really nicely. I've been impressed with what I've seen out of them thus far, not just from the first group, but the second team as well. It seems like it's come along and added some quality depth there. Bo Bordelon has had some really good reps this week. Delance Hurd looks fantastic as a freshman. And so you've got some guys there who you really like on the offensive line.
Wilson, I know I've always complimented your fashion sense, but who did this headshot? Taylor, where'd you get this picture? Mario, where'd you get this picture? It was already on here?
I think it's his Twitter.
No, it's our saved.
God, this is so, I mean, your hair just looks incredible. I'm trying to get Ask Wilson questions in the chat, and all anybody asking about is your hair product. What product do you use?
Well, first, I don't know which picture it is that you're referring to, but if it's the one I think it is, then it's my brother who took it. My brother's, and I'm just going to give a quick plug. He's a photographer. If anybody needs any work in Atlanta, then go find Julian Alexander.
Hell yeah.
In terms of the product that I use, well, hang on.
Is it a paste?
It's called ADH Dry.
Oh, okay. There you go. AVH Dry. Somebody else. Okay. Hell yeah, man. There you go. If anybody wants to look like Wilson, that's the way to do it. Ask Wilson, can you go over the linebacking core for me? It's Perkins playing the same role this season.
No, not quite from what he did a year ago. He's more of an inside linebacker. They want him to learn that whole position, be able to line up, over the shades of the guards and be able to do a lot more than what he did last season. Obviously, he was kind of in that free-flowing outside backer pass rusher role a year ago, just get him on the field, let him run. And this year it's more about learning that entire position. Now, there's a slight asterisk to that in that LSU still has him practicing at times with the jack linebackers. Yeah. And he's kind of just going back and forth and moving all over. So he's going to be a really versatile piece of this defense, especially bringing in Omar Speights from Oregon State allows you to continue to use Harold in some of those ways because you've got a little bit more bodies that you really like at linebacker. And so, like yesterday, we saw him kind of going back and forth between the positions, getting some jack linebacker reps in one-on-ones with the offensive and defensive lineman going up against Will Campbell. That was a fun matchup to watch. So a little bit different from what he'll be doing last year, but especially on third down, I think LSU's going to try to find ways to use him as a pass rusher.
Has Omar Speights been that's a guy who Jake was obsessed with watching his film coming out of Oregon State. He was really hyped up. Has he lived up to that hype thus far?
Yes, I think so, especially when you consider spring practice as well in this a little bit. Like, he was looking like just really, really good right away in the spring, and he just continues to sort of look the same way that we saw in the spring. So it's almost like you haven't necessarily noticed him during fall camp yet, but it's because he's not doing anything that's messing up. Like, they also haven't done anything exotic defensively or anything like that, but he looks like somebody who's going to be a huge piece of this team. He's rangy. He's got speed, sideline to sideline speed. He's also got the size to still be playing right there in the middle. And so this is somebody who is going to be a really impactful transfer for them, and I'm really high on him as well.
Hootie wants to know, ask Wilson, how is special teams looking? How's the coach?
Well, the special teams coaching had to change just a little bit right before preseason camp. It was going to be John Jancic as technically the special teams coordinator. That has changed. It's now Bob Diaco. Diaco coaches with quite a lot of energy. He's pretty loud. I see out there and yell. He's moving around a ton. In terms of how special teams looks, it's too early to really say. They've been working on a lot of fundamental things out of special teams. The one thing that we can see that's different is the returners. Brian Kelly feels a lot better about that group. When you have Aaron Anderson back there, he's just looks like he could be an absolutely electric player. Really shifty, quick sideline, like just quick movements. Gregory Clayton's still reliable. Kyle Parker, they like as a freshman potentially at that spot someday. And so there's a lot to like in the return game that you didn't necessarily have last season when Greg came in and just patched things up. How the rest of the unit looks in totality, we don't really know yet. But also one more thing to add about the coaching. You've got a lot of coaches involved in this. Brian Kelly changed up the way that they were doing this when Napoleon moved off of the staff. And so this is something that you've got a lot of assistants involved. It's not just Diaco who's doing this. All of them have a hand in it.
Bilbo wants to know, hashtag Ask Wilson, can you break down Denver Harris for us thus far? And I would even extend it into just kind of score the cornerback room for us in terms of maybe you think who has the leads so far.
Starting with Denver still looks kind of raw. That's what we sort of heard about him in the spring and what you've maybe seen out of him mostly this fall. He's not been a first-team player. He's getting some reps with the twos, and they're making him, if he is going to end up being a starter, they're making him really earn it. He's got to jump some guys to get out there on the field. He's gotten beat a couple times. That's not necessarily completely different from the rest of these cornerbacks, but he just hasn't been with the first-team defense back in the spring and up to this point either. In terms of who's actually running with the ones, it's Zy Alexander and Deuce Chestnut. Those are your sort of leaders in the clubhouse at this point. LaTerrence Welch has been getting a lot of second-team reps. So has even Ashton Stamps. Yesterday got second-team reps. He's a freshman. And so with J.K. Johnson out in particular right now, who would maybe be in the mix on that second-team group, they don't have quite the depth that they had. But, yeah, it would be Zy and Deuce. And if Denver's going to get on the field, he's got to work his way up.
How do you think nickel is going to work out? Is that Sage Ryan? Is it Greg Brooks? And then you can extend that to safety as well. Kind of the nickel and safety part of the secondaries. Who's been repping with the ones so far?
That's been one of the more fascinating position groups to watch because there are times that LSU has Major Burns, Andre Sam at safety. Andre's the seventh-year transfer we talked about a couple months ago. And when they moved Greg Brooks down into nickel at times. There's also formations that they have Sage Ryan at nickel and then Greg Brooks and Major Burns back at safety, or Andre's maybe rotating with them at some times. So they're able to do some really interesting thing with Greg Brooks in particular, where he of course, started the season last year as the nickel and then moved back after the Florida State game to safety. And so they're kind of able to put him in both spots, and we'll sort of see how that continues to shake out. But Ryan Kelly said with the addition of Andre Sam, they're able to maybe use some free safety looks this year that they didn't necessarily have much of last season. And so that's been a really interesting position to watch.
Hashtag Ask Wilson, what's the farthest pass Jaden Daniels has thrown and completed thus far?
I don't have a specific yardage. One of the players mentioned a 50-yarder to Malik Neighbors at some point.
Mason Taylor.
We haven't seen every single full team rep that Jaden has the team has made. You know, there's been parts of practice that were closed, and in terms of what we've seen, I don't have the specific yardage. I just know that like Mason Taylor was saying, they completed a 50-yard bomb to Neighbors. So that we've heard that he's been pushing the ball downfield more. Not even sometimes when we're not out there, we've been out there. He's been a little bit, not as quite as much maybe, but he is still doing it. He looks improved in that area, but we want to continue to see how that develops over the next few weeks.
So we got a couple of questions rolling in, Wilson, about Jaden Daniels. And do you think you've seen the growth that we've heard about in terms of like going through his possessions, right? And specifically maybe comparing what you saw out of him last year to what you've seen out of him thus far?
He definitely looks like he's improved in that regard in terms of going through his progressions. And he's making, I think, really good decisions every time that we've seen him. I mean, of course, he did the second half of last season as well in a lot of those big games. His completion percentage is so high. Obviously, that's sometimes because he was being maybe a little bit too conservative. In this case, he's still pushing the ball downfield. We've seen him make some nice throws down the seam. I remember one in particular to Jackson McGohan where he fit one in over a defender. That was a really nice play. Same thing over the middle to Kamorian Pimpton. So those are some things, he's pushing the ball over the middle of the field that he didn't maybe do a ton of last season. I can't quite remember if that was like a huge part of his game or not. And so he's, I think, making those improvements in terms of how he's reading the field.
And then the last one here, Wilson, score me the running back room thus far. Has anybody kind of I guess Josh Williams is who would have been in control from the start, but how's that room seem to be shaking out?
I can't score it. That's how it's shaking out right now. Everybody is rotating just a ton. They're getting those guys a lot of reps. Maybe there'll start to be some separation over the next couple of weeks. But at this point, they're rotating pretty much all 8 scholarship guys. At some point, they've run with either the first or the second team. They're moving in and out. Armani Goodwin was the first team running back yesterday, technically. And Noah Cain came with him on that 2-minute scripted drive that we saw with the full team offense. But that doesn't represent that they've been in control of this in any way, because those guys are moving around a lot. Logan Diggs is coming off a hamstring injury over the summer, and so he was maybe a little bit limited at times, not participating in like every single drill that we've seen, but very heavily involved. And then Josh Williams was actually out yesterday. He didn't have a helmet or pads on, was moving a little bit gingerly. And so we have to kind of find out what's happening with him, if he's going to be out for any sort of time. It doesn't seem like it's major, because he was at least out at practice, but this is a group that is far from determined.
Wilson Alexander at WH_Alexander_ on Twitter. The latest in what's a pretty legendary run of beat writers here on the LSU football beat. In fact, I think congratulations are in order, Wilson, as you were named the 4th recipient of the Edward Aschoff Rising Star Award. That's incredible, man. And it's one of those things where, reading a little bit about the award, this is not something local, right? Like David Ubben from The Athletic won, like Richard Johnson from Sports Illustrated. Congratulations, man. How did it feel when you got the call?
I was stunned. It was not something I expected. This was very kind. I'm flattered. It sort of still leaves me kind of speechless, and a little makes me blush when people bring it up, just because I've been very grateful for all the support that I've gotten, and people reaching out and saying nice things. And thank you for mentioning it. And you see, I kind of get caught up and don't really know what to say, because
it's cool,
I'm
man.
not used to all this kind of stuff, but I'm just very grateful and honored to be named that.
No, I mean, think about it, guys out there listening. Like, this is a national award that just got handed to your LSU football beat writer. So if you want to stay up to, look at all the questions we just threw Wilson. If you want to know everything about this team, follow him on social media, but then definitely theadvocate.com, pick up the paper, or go online, subscribe. Wilson is well worth the investment. Also won Louisiana Sports Story of the Year last year for his piece on David Woodley. Thank you, Wilson, so much for waking up and letting us just pepper you with questions this morning.
Thank you for having me, T-Bob, and I appreciate all the kind words.
Absolutely, man. Wilson Alexander, WH_Alexander on Twitter. Dude, that Edward Aschoff, that's a big award. That's crazy. Like, that's like the previous 3. So of course we all remember Ed. He was awesome. Just super tragically passed away in 2019. But like the first winner was David Ubben, who's one of the main college football writers for The Athletic. The second winner was Grace Rayner. The third of The Athletic, Richard Johnson, another national guy, Sports Illustrated. And now randomly the LSU beat writer from The Advocate wins it. Like, that's a massive deal. So shout out Wilson.
Not an easy job either. A lot of great journalists have held that position. Dellinger, Cabina was here for a little while. People are very, particular when it comes to their LSU football coverage. So that speaks volumes for Wilson.
But it's weird. There's a Clarion Ledger to LSU Advocate pipeline that has served the Tiger fans very well thus far. So huge congrats to Wilson. All right, coming up next, more OTB. Maybe visit some more of this ESPN bet sort of stuff. More off the bench coming up.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to centralplumbing.org, centralplumbing.org, 925-8552. Put it in your phone right now, folks, 925-8552. And then anytime you have plumbing problems, how about you just call them, and they'll fix it. And you don't have to lift a finger. And maybe like, oh, T-Bob, I'm a man. I like to YouTube stuff and do it. Or I'm a woman. Well, look, that's fine. Good luck with plumbing, though, because I've tried that, and I've made things worse. And so at some point, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to call them. And I've had big jobs. Like, I've had entire toilets replaced. I've had small jobs. Just couldn't get something, couldn't get the drain out. Whatever. The point is, over 50 years, residential and commercial. Remember, if you're like an office building, they got the paperwork, personnel, insurance to do what you need. But they've seen it all. They can fix it all. You can trust Central Plumbing to get the job done well, get it done with their flat rate pricing. Everybody's licensed, bonded, and insured. They're just a one-stop plumbing shop, man. 925-8552. Bathroom remodels as well, 925-8552.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Officially, it's a fridge full of beer. Unofficially, it's free AC. Coors Light, the official beer of everything unofficial.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street. The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. The Tigers have the day off from fall camp, but the Saints are back at it. We'll be in Metairie getting you a Saints training camp report. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Happening, y'all. Welcome back to OTB. Hour number 2. Yes, the Rick 1041 on Twitter says T-Bob cried when he watches It's a Wonderful Life. Absolutely. How could you not? Mary, I'm sorry. Edwardo, Nuss bus driver. Good thing is we won't have to wait long to see if JD really improved, like many are saying. Again, I think JD Daniels' improvement is like the easiest thing to bet on in the world. And you're right. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and Florida State's a very good defense to figure out right away if that is the case. But I don't think it's much of a competition between him and Nuss anymore. I mean, I know Kelly is talking about it in terms of that Jay has to keep going. He has to improve because Nuss is doing great, and he's going to push him. And if you don't, and that is true. Like if Daniels just to come out and suck and just crap the bed during camp, yeah, Nuss can be the starting job, but that's not going to happen. And I do think he is your best path to winning this year. And then you have the great insurance that if something does go wrong, that you have Garrett Nussmeier behind him. Like, it's a very good place to be as an LSU fan, in that if you don't that you maybe won't be like I don't know about a majority of teams, but on a ton of teams, if the quarterback goes down, everything goes down. I don't think that's the case with LSU. I think you get worse going from Daniels to Nuss, but you could still win a lot of games. You could still, I don't know if I feel like you could beat Georgia or anything, but you'd still be really good. Oh, okay, ESPN. Let's close the loop on this conversation. So as we said, ESPN and Penn, after Penn gets out of Barstool, ESPN and Penn has decided to team up. And there's a couple things that jump off the page immediately here to me. Is it not kind of weird for suddenly the House of Mouse to be looking to be a leader in the gambling space? If you were like a culture critic, I think you could probably write some think pieces on like the degenerative morals of America when even Mickey Mouse is trying to get into your wallet and all this sort of stuff. And I won't even say you're wrong. Now, I like gambling. I get it. I've always been of the opinion that adults should be able to do what they want with their money. But like anything else, I understand that it can be an addiction. It can lead down some very dark roads for some people. But again, it is weird to think about Mickey Mouse suddenly trying to become the leader in the gambling space. And I wonder, I can't help but wonder, is there some sort of conflict of interest with the network that covers sports so intensely, suddenly trying to also be the place where you go to bet on those same sports? Like, for instance, say the SEC network. When ESPN Bet pops up, do they suddenly require SEC teams to publish injury reports? Do college coaches continue to be able to obfuscate and get away with shenanigans in terms of he'll be back this week, he won't be back this week, isn't he? We don't know what's hurt. Like, do they demand the transparency that an NFL does because now they have a vested interest in their customers getting that transparency? Is that required for the SEC, but in the ACC, but not for the Big Ten because that's mainly funded by Fox? Like it's a bit interesting to see the very moneyed power that shaped the reforging of college football, the 2020 forging, now be also in the gambling space, trying to benefit off of that reshaping, kind of double dipping in a way. And I think that would probably be, I mean, if you want to talk about, that think piece that we were just mentioning, it's not just the House of Mouse being a gambling, but suddenly, college athletics, where for a while any gambling, any athletics in gambling was deemed anathema, but especially something like college, right, where it's supposed to be about the education. And we can't, like, even now, a lot of you out there sit there and tell me every day, we can't have pay for play. We can't have pay for play. But these conferences can, these schools can move to whatever conferences, eliminate a 100-year-old conference because they make more money on television deals. We can't have pay for play, but the same television deals that killed that conference are now going to be going into funding gambling and trying to get your disposable income into their multi-billion-dollar coffers. Like, it is what it is, man. Kind of feels sometimes like we're on that island in Pinocchio that freaked me out as a kid. And we're just all smoking cigars. But you know what? I love tobacco. So I'm not the best to be the moral arbiter here because whatever, times change, it is what it is. What I am more interested to see is, will ESPN Bet work, right? And I'm guessing now something like the Barstool Sportsbook at LeBear's or the one they just opened up in Nashville, I guess those become ESPN Sportsbooks. And the reason I say will it work is Fox tried this. Now, granted, I don't think Fox has the reach. That's not Fox Sports that ESPN does. And they tried Fox Bet, which, guys, naming conventions, just Fox Bet and ESPN Bet, sure, I guess, I don't know, whatever. I know you have millions of dollars in market research that probably says that's the best, but Fox tried this with Fox Bet. They got crushed. FanDuel, DraftKings squeezed the life out of them. Fox Bet no longer exists. They just had to shut it down. I'll be fascinated to see if Penn can break in with ESPN in a way that they were not able to with Barstool. Now, as we said, ESPN has a more upright image, which is going to go over very well with regulators. They have a much farther reach than Barstool, but it does feel a little greasy. And again, I wonder, do they, because I feel like they kind of have to, like on the injury report front and all that stuff, right? Like if you want me to go with your platform and you want me to gamble with you, then I need some information in return. Like because you can force it. You can create that access. So we'll see. Fascinating times in which we live. All right, when we get back, let's close out hour number 2 of OTB.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Has the perfect amount of spice to jumpstart my day. Whoever thought of it, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Robert, and the little thing I love about Chick-fil-A Spicy Chicken Biscuit is the biscuit. It reminds me of my grandma's homemade biscuit. It's always buttery and savory. Then you add the spices, instant classic.
Order the Spicy Chicken Biscuit on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real Chick-fil-A guests paid for their testimonials.
Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. It's a What If Wednesday. J.D. Pickell of On3 Sports talking college football. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to OTB. Rolling right along. Hour 2 almost in the books. Dwayne D in the chat says, college football going the corporate way of the NFL will lose viewership from a decent amount of fans. It is what it is. So, like we talked about, we have lamented the death of maybe college football as we knew it. And we've talked about how it's definitely going to lose a bit of its mystique, but I don't think the numbers are going to go down. If anything, the numbers are going to go up because it's a bit like politics where we all bitch and moan about why is everything so partisan? Why is this or that? Well, you know why? Because it's because of us, okay? Because of what you support. Because when somebody does something bipartisan, you yell at them and you're like, I can't believe it, and that becomes an attack angle, right? Like you get what your actions deserve. And for all the high-minded talking ideals that everybody wants to espouse about working together, or I like LSU versus Utah State, or no, that's not a good example in this case. Like for all the high-minded talk of like, I really used to like watching Oregon State and Washington State. The problem is you didn't. Like the TV numbers just didn't support it. You would much rather watch even Oregon, Iowa than you would that. And especially you want to watch Oregon, Ohio State. And now you're going to get that. And so the numbers are actually going to go up here. Again, you lose some of the mystique. And Dwayne, you're probably like me and a lot of us here in this part of the country where you're probably a college football sicko. So in this ecosystem, in our viewpoint, yes, it should feel like the numbers should go down because you're going to lose some of that weird excitement that like all the college football heads bond over where everybody's tweeting about the same random, Conference USA game or match-in or whatever the case may be. But on the whole, not the case. Okay, people want the big boys and want the big matchups. It's why the NFL kills it in ratings. It's why if you look at the highest rated games of the college football season, it's always the biggest brands going against one another. And it's why all of these conference realignments has now happened. You're not going to actually lose viewership at least not in my opinion. Maybe I end up being wrong. Who knows, too. Shout out J.R. Belton, who, according to 247 Sports, was named to the 30 under 30 list. Of course, JR is the director of recruiting. He was named one of the college football's rising stars, with Coach Kelly quote tweeting and saying, a well-deserved honor for a bright young mind in college football. We are all better by having someone like JR on our team. It's pretty fascinating because pre-Brian Kelly, JR was just kind of a staffer, just kind of there. And then what does Littlefinger tell us, or as Scott Woodward told us, what does Machiavelli tell us, right? That chaos is a ladder. And in that power change, JR was able to show his value to the new regime, and all of a sudden he's named director of recruiting, and now look at him, he's on the 30 under 30 list. My man is rocketing up the college football world. So congrats to JR. That's got to be really cool, man. Just like Wilson being named Edward Ashoff Rising Star of the Year. A couple of cool moments there. Boys, I hope you never do me like that producer did my boss Cowherd.
Yeah, he messed up, man.
Well, we can touch on it in hour 3.
Like nuclear mess up.
Yeah. And I somehow got roped into the mention. And so, when I tell you it's a dumpster fire, it is a dumpster fire.
Yeah. Always read ahead of time, like you in the chat yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I almost got burgundy myself. More OTB, hour 3 coming up next.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m. on Wednesday, August 9th. Today in Baton Rouge, expect sunny skies with a high of 99. If you missed hours 1 or 2 of the show, including our conversations with Ross Jackson or Wilson Alexander, you can now catch that up at the on-demand section at 1045ESPN.com. And you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at OTB_ESPN, or catch us on YouTube at the 1045 ESPN channel. OTBOT, live from the Mercedes-Benz at Baton Rouge studio, starts now.
Let we go.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to OTB, hour number 3. T-Bob, Mario, Taylor hanging out with you today. Shout out everyone hanging on the YouTube chat. Go ahead. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Please subscribe, hit the bell or whatever, because it's only a matter of time before I am no longer it's only a matter of time before I am no longer here. And it's just some AI-generated host that is much better researched, much better spoken, much funnier, that is going to be entertaining you every single day. And we could talk about that more in a second. I guess we should pick up the Colin thing, just because it's where we kind of ended last hour. So, of course, I host a show called Snaps. It's a daily National College Football podcast. We talk about all college football. It's with Aaron Murray from Georgia. It's very fun. I really like it. I think you should check it out. You can just Google Snaps Podcast. You find it there. YouTube.com/@volumesnaps or catch us on AMP live. But yeah, so YouTube's Google Snaps Podcast. It'll show up. Support your boy if you want. But whatever. That's for the Volume, right? The Volume is Colin Cowherd's company. And so Papa Colin's my guy. It's my boss man. But yesterday, his producers got him in a bit of hot water as they were having a discussion. It was about what quarterbacks drafted this week. So I haven't seen the segment.
So I'll
clear.
pull it up. I'll pull up in a second. But to kind of recap it, he said that out of the 32 starting quarterbacks, he knows for sure that 20 of the starting quarterbacks can't win a Super Bowl.
Okay.
And that's kind of how it goes. But,
something that most people would support, right? I mean,
yeah, for the most part.
Like pull up the list, maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it up.
Yeah, just
you should go to Rejuve Me. What were you saying, Mario?
No, technically, like Taylor's saying, like technically factual, but like still, when y'all see the names on the list and then what Colin said, it's a mistake you can't make during live production.
He was actually right though in his prediction.
Technically.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
dark
Hey, man.
there, boys. Very dark there. So basically, they put up this graphic, and it's got all the quarterbacks on there, and it's quarterbacks who've been drafted since, I don't know, like 2017, 2013. 2013. Okay, 2013. And on that list, well, first off, the graphic says can. So already.
I have it. Do you want it? I have the whole clip.
Yeah, let's play the clip.
And then the third category is 20 guys who are not getting to a Super Bowl and certainly not winning it. And that's everybody else. From Baker Mayfield, Teddy Bridgewater, Dwayne Haskins, guys that are just not that it says can win Super Bowls. It's can't win Super Bowls. Okay? So 6 stars, 4 high-end starters, and 20 guys that can't win a Super Bowl.
And you could even tell that he was a bit panicking because the name that he read there.
You could see his face grimace a little bit. I didn't notice that in the first watch, but yeah, he's mad.
Well, yeah, he's mad because he knows that Dwayne Haskins should not be on the list. Dwayne Haskins passed in pretty tragic circumstances, right?
Well, and also it sucks even more because like he only read like 3 or 4 names out of the 20, and one of them just so happened to be Dwayne Haskins.
The list got pulled up. Ron Burgundy. He started reading off the list, and then he immediately was like, we have to bail on all of this, which I get, and I've been there. The one thing I would say is Bilbo says, Papa Colin really let that graphic get published too, and no one thought it was a bad idea. Bro, do you know how busy that man? If you think Colin Cowherd is putting together like every moment of his show, if you think he is finalizing graphics, that is a man who makes millions of dollars. Like that is why you hire producers underneath you when you get to that stage who do all that legwork for you. Like that is a job. You're now don't get me wrong. It is still all filtered through his brain and his takes and everything, but he's not the one putting together a graphic or giving it final approval. Like I feel very badly for whoever that producer is because that's who the wrath is coming down on today.
Well, you're right, but it's like, it's not necessarily Colin's fault, but like whoever made that graphic, like do your due diligence.
No,
man.
that's what I'm
Like,
saying.
yeah.
That's the EP. That's the executive producer. Like that's your job is to avoid situations like that. And they drop the ball super badly. And let's all, you set up the boss man and you make him look bad. That's never going to go well for anyone. But yeah, my mentions are a complete dumpster fire right now with people calling that out. Although, as you just said, Taylor, technically true.
Well, you know what's funny about this? I'm looking at the rest of the list.
Yeah, who else is on the list though? Like, go back to the list.
So
Like,
have it paused. We got EJ Manuel, Paxton Lynch, Josh Rosen. Like none of those guys.
Show me the lie.
None of those guys are. That's what I'm saying about Dwayne Haskins. Like it's unfortunate, but technically all of these guys are out of the league. None of them are going to win the Super Bowl.
Look, Daniel Jones. I don't think he's winning the Super Bowl.
No.
I don't think Mac Jones can win a Super Bowl.
Jameis.
I guess I haven't seen enough out of Trey Lance. He's definitely not
start.
winning it this year, though. Like, if this is this year alone, yeah, this is an accurate list. Like, none of these guys
Teddy's
are going
not
to be
even
able
a
to.
starter.
No, and a lot of these guys aren't.
Yeah.
Like Manziel, you're watching documentaries
Mariota.
Yeah.
about Manziel.
The only one I'd maybe make an argument for is Kenny
I
Pickett.
was about to say, Kenny Pickett does kind of jump off the list as like, the Steelers are such a stable franchise. He was pretty frisky by the end of the year last year. I don't think they're good enough to get to the AFC because the AFC is so incredibly tough. But, like, Pickett would be the one that maybe has a little more of a chance. You know what's funny, though? I don't know that that's even the most interesting graphic from yesterday. The one that we were talking about in the group chat last night is really fascinating. It's one that one of my buddies sent me. I'm trying to find it here. It's of the last, and this is a shocking statistic. It could almost be if we had like a Le Batard stat of the day, this would be the stat of the day. Okay, here it is. Strange but true. This comes from CBS Sports Twitter. The last 17 quarterbacks, to lose their Super Bowl debut have not made it back. This goes all the way back to Stan Humphries, Neil O'Donnell, Drew Bledsoe, Chris Chandler, Steve McNair, Kerry Collins, Rich Gannon, Jake Delhomme, Donovan McNabb, Matt Hasselbeck, Colin Kaepernick, Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, again, not the last 17 quarterbacks to lose their first start have never won a Super Bowl. They never made it back to a Super Bowl. And the list ends with Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. Now that is fascinating to me because it shows you how much kind of a Super Bowl can change everything and how you think about a player. Because sure, like you look at the names that I said before Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts, and you're like, yeah, of course they didn't make it back. Now some are going to surprise you. Like maybe you would have thought that Cam Newton could have found a way in there at some time. Like Donovan McNabb played in 5 NFC championships. Like he certainly should have made it back to another Super Bowl at some point. Steve McNair was great for a while there. So it is, but it's one of those weird situations where now we feel like it's obvious that those guys didn't make it back. But at the time, when they had the year that got them there, it did not feel that obvious. And so it's kind of a bit concerning. If you're a Joe Burrow fan, you're a Jalen Hurts fan, and you think about them going forward, this is a hell of a lot of history that these guys got to overcome.
I'm glad you brought this up. I was having this exact conversation with Mario before the show started. I was like, hey, who sent that graphic in the group chat? Because, again, you look at it. I know a lot of people, at least down here, were like, oh, yeah, Burrow lost the Super Bowls in his second year, though. He's going to get back. Me and Mario were talking about, Zach Thomas sitting out and what that means. I mean, Zach Martin.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a different take on that. We'll get into that in a minute. I've kind of flip-flopped. I'm now on the Cowboys side of that thing.
Okay, yeah.
But
yeah,
it's because
Jerry Jones gaslight you into hating your O-lineman. Hell yeah.
No,
dude.
I don't hate him. When you look into the Bengals roster, Burrow's in his third year. Chase is in his second year. Trey Hendrickson's in his third year there. Yeah. All of these guys kind of got there at the same time. Mario made the point they already lost Jesse Bates. Like, at some point, you're going to have to pay all of these guys at the same time. Who are you going to be able to retain? Who are you going to be able to keep? Now, I know they're going to keep their core guys, but it's like this team may not be as talented even 2 years from now than it is right now. So I know everybody's like, well, Burrow's young himself. Yeah, but that talent window he has with the Bengals right now, I mean, that could be over in 2 years. So you really never know.
Who knows how many years it is before you find it, before the Bengals get a team or you find a team like Aaron Rodgers-esque. Like, I don't know. I actually feel like the Jets are kind of Super Bowl relevant a little bit, which maybe I'm just a sucker, but
look how long
it's
Zach Wilson beats out Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. No, it is so funny how ignored Zach Wilson is on Hard Knocks. Now, granted, I didn't watch the whole episode, so I'm sure, I mean, that's an interesting enough narrative angle where I'm sure you visited at some point during the show. But, no, and then if you're looking for Burrow's standpoint, like the AFC's brutal. Oh, yeah, now you got Aaron Rodgers to compete against. Like, Jalen Hurts feels like he has as clear a path as anybody should. But kind of to your point there, Taylor, Jalen Hurts just got paid. Does that end up affecting the Eagles? Not here in the short term, but can they take advantage of the short term? It's very hard when you lose a championship to stay together. I've experienced it firsthand. We've talked about it. And I think that's actually probably one of the main reasons why the last 17 guys that have made it have not ended up making it back. So really fascinating stuff. Can Hurts or Burrow buck that trend?
As I said in the group chat, call me biased, call me a homer, whatever, but I would bet money on Burrow to buck the trend. I think if he does make it back with the Bengals, it'll be a different version of the Bengals. Like Taylor's saying, their defense can regress a little bit. They lost Jesse Bates. They lost Von Bell too. Maybe they lose Hendrickson in the future. But Burrow is going to improve. And to Taylor's point, the receivers are going to improve around him as well. And their O-line through these last couple of years has been bad, like below average bad. If they get to being average, above average, then that part of the team will be better too. And I think before it's all said and done, Burrow will get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch them like we did, then it's almost impossible to bet against them. So I feel you there. But that is a lot of history to overcome. And again, you got Pat Mahomes standing in your way. You got Josh Allen standing in your way.
Kind of already
Aaron Rodgers
vanquished
standing in your way.
Allen, but yeah, I got to do it against the other guys.
Well, he's vanquished Allen for now, but then all it takes is, Allen and Buffalo figuring out that year. And by standing in the way, I don't mean they're demonstrably better. I just mean that these are other very capable quarterbacks and teams that could beat you in any single playoff game.
Yeah.
And you have to manage to beat them every time. Whereas Jalen Hurts has got to work through who?
Derek Carr.
I mean, kind of, right? Like
Jared Goff,
who's
maybe?
the second? Yeah, Jared Goff. Maybe
Yeah.
is Jared Goff
Kirk
the
Cousins.
second best quarterback in the NFC?
No, I put Cousins. ahead of
Cousins,
him,
yeah,
but
there
close.
you go. Cousins, Goff,
Yeah.
Carr, and
Don't say it.
Dak.
No.
Okay, real quick, because I'm not going to talk about this anymore. What's your new Zach Martin take?
Well, so I was kind of looking at the contracts. Remember how I was saying, who are you going to pay?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing with the Bengals situation. Okay, so CeeDee Lamb is under contract until 2024. So after this year, he's under contract for one more year until he's an unrestricted free agent. Micah Parsons' extension's coming up because this is his third year. He's going to get extended after next year. Zach Martin, I'm looking at his contract right now. Now, he's only making $1.7 million this year, but he restructured to where he will make $13 million next year.
Oh, he did that. He just did a thing where he restructured, gets converted to a signing bonus. They add the voidable years.
He's under contract until 2026. Dallas is going to have to restructure and extend some of these guys before Zach Martin.
Well, but hold on. Is it a real, but what you need to check on is it a real under contract through 2026 or when they converted that salary? Because I'm sure to be a $1 million number this year, I'm sure they took his salary, converted it to signing bonus, and then you add voidable years on the end. Where he's on the books.
The voidable year looks like 2026. So
Okay,
so he's still under contract for at least 3 more years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that technically means, though, that he, voidable years, I don't think that it doesn't mean that you're contracted to play for the team. I think that's how they spread out the signing bonus. It gets very hard to understand.
2023, 2024, 2025 under contract fully.
Okay.
Yeah. 2026 is
so only one voidable year.
Yeah, and that's the last year of his deal. But my point is, I love Zach Martin. He might be the best right guard in the game, but has he outplayed his contract? Sure, but this would be like every offseason. Patrick Mahomes is 100% the best quarterback in the league. Let's say another quarterback gets a better deal, and he's like, well, that guy's making more than me. I'm sitting out the training camp until you restructure my deal. I want more money every single year because I want to be the highest paid guy. It's like everybody wants a piece of the pie. I get it, but it's like you got to kind of wait in line. You just got paid. It's not necessarily Dallas's fault that you've outplayed your contract. Now, I'm sure they're grateful for it, but
Cut
You
him.
got to pay CD after next year. You got to pay Micah Parsons after next
Then
year.
cut him, dude.
That's my thing. It's like
We'll take
you
him.
got to. They're not going to cut him, but it's like, again, I was like, well, you got to pay him or whatever. I didn't realize the dude's got 4 years left on his deal. He just signed a deal. He's making $13 million next season because he restructured it. I just I love Zach Martin, but there's guys ahead of him. He's going to kind of have to wait his turn.
Man,
now, I think Dallas went about it the wrong way, which that's typical for Jerry Jones. But I mean, you got to pay CD, you got to pay Micah Parsons.
Jerry Jones has gaslit you into hating your most consistent player.
No,
Congratulations.
I just said I don't want to get rid of him. I like him, but
What a
it's
sad
a little.
place to be.
When I was looking into it, I was like, there are some guys that just don't have the number of years left on their deal that you got to keep as well. So you got to kind of like focus on what's in front of you first.
No. I do always love how the NFL teams, it's like, you got to honor the contract. We don't, but you do. I mean, if I was a player, I'd be like, no, F you, dude. You'll cut me whenever you want. I don't feel like I need to honor this. Also, Zach Martin, probably one of the rare ones where if he even held out for an entire year, like he would not lose value.
No,
all people would be like, oh my God, he's fresh. Get a year up on that thing. All right, when we get back, do a little AI talk. Do want to remind you real quick, though, to go to Aggitemp Baton Rouge, AggiTempBR.com, AggiTempBR.com. Take control of your comfort zone with the company that provides service to the highest degree. And yes, it's a great pun. I love puns. It's very good. But the servicing is real, man. Like, it is their core ethos. Again, one of my favorite stories is when I had Aggitemp out, I thought I had an electrical problem. I just needed to change the light bulb. Embarrassing. Absolutely. Really dumb. Wife never lets me hear the end of it. But she doesn't listen to the show. She's never heard me do a commercial. She didn't know about the customer service angle. And she was like, look, I'm pissed at you because we paid somebody to change a light bulb, but I'll be damned if that wasn't like the best customer service I've ever had in terms of lining up when they show up at your house, interacting, all of that. That's what Aggitemp does. Also a great place to work as well, which if you're looking for job opportunities, go check it out. They can get you up to speed in just a couple of months there. Aggitemp Baton Rouge for all your AC, heating, and electrical needs. Go look at the online reviews. They're incredible. AggiTempBR.com, AggiTempBR.com.
OTB, OT. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At Corval Toyota in Opelousas, you can lease a new Toyota Camry for $489 per month. That's right, you can get a brand new Toyota Camry for only $489 per month. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. The Tigers have the day off from fall camp, but the Saints are back at it. We'll be in Metairie getting you a Saints training camp report. Join us 3 to 6, 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to OTB. It's time to talk about the AI thought-pocalypse that is coming. I have not seen any of this. This is new to me, but it's been going on for a while. It's been raising for a while. It seems like it caught heat or started to catch steam a couple of weeks ago, momentum, in terms of people really talking about it. But for a few years now, and I've known about this. Have you ever heard of like VTubing, where people like stream, but it's not actually them? It's like a cartoon that's like, it's like motion capture. It's like mimicking their movements and voice.
I've heard of it. I've never like seen it.
Yeah, so there's like been VTubers. There's been CGI created influencers already, which have existed for a while now, where it's somebody, doing the graphics and everything that need to to create this fake person. Well, now, thanks to the advent of AI, and I'm not going to get into like technically, is this AI or technically not? No, what we're talking about, right? Computer generated images in which they're pulling from just massive amounts of human information and art to create these things. But thanks to what you would call AI, and you've probably seen some of the artwork that's come out of it in the art space. There's been a ton of debate about it. I mean, it's pretty scary, right? It's pretty wild. Like if you're a concept artist and you spend hours and hours creating this incredible piece where it's like a futuristic techno samurai, LA or something. The wild part is now you can just type in one of these programs, futuristic techno samurai Los Angeles, and it'll spit it out in like 2 seconds. They give you a ton of different versions of it. Well, you can also do that with creating humans in both images and videos as well now. And what's kind of wild is people are doing this on the influencing front. They're creating attractive virtual women who are posting thirst traps and posting, the same thing that real influencers do. They're on the beach in Bora Bora. They're wherever they're at. But where it gets wild is that now they're getting the advertising money. Like the money that people would have given to a human influencer before is now going to this AI-generated image. The guys are giving money to them through things like OnlyFans. Like thousands of people are following them, liking the posts, commenting on them. And my initial reaction, the surface level reaction was, that is crazy. Like, why would you give money to something that you know is fake? If you're an advertiser, I understood it because whatever, it gets reach. But why is it getting the reach? This is not a real person. Why do they care? But here's where the real mind F comes into play. And that's when I came to the realization, well, functionally, from my standpoint, what is the difference between a human Instagram influencer and an AI one? I don't know him or her either way. They're both physically attractive on the eyes. Like it's parasocial either way. Yes, one actually walks this earth and one was computer generated, but functionally from me, there's no difference in liking the human post than there is in liking the AI post. There's no difference in giving to the human OnlyFans as there is to the AI OnlyFans. And that started to mess with my head a bit. Because all of a sudden you see how easily it is to justify that and to go with that. And then the second mind F is simply this. When you realize and understand that this is the worst AI is going to be. And I don't mean the worst like it's only going to get, I mean this is the worst quality that these images and these people are going to be. It is going to increase in quality and realism exponentially fast. Because it's exactly how technology grows. It grows exponentially, right? All new technology you discover allows you to discover that much more. It's why if you look at human history for whatever, 40,000 years, or even zoom into the last 2,000 years, it's if we have a graph and the bottom line, your x-axis, right? The x is the bottom and y is vertical. Right? Your x-axis is time. Your y-axis is technological development. For 2,000 years, you're basically a flat line. A little bit of tech for, about 1,600 years. Okay, 17, we're kind of creeping up. 18, we're kind of creeping. And then if you look at 1900 to 2000, it's basically a vertical shot. I mean, in a century, you go from horse and carriages, plastic not even being invented, to a century later, you have the internet and you have iPhones. And you have AI images that can be created with a simple keystroke. And people give money for. And so it's only going to get more realistic, more indiscernible, and better. And guess what? Like every day, and I talk about everybody think, I don't think any job is safe. I mean, even this job. Like every day I got to think about, okay, what do I think is entertaining? What do I think is interesting here? What do I think people would respond to? You know who doesn't have to think that? Computer programs that have literally been created from the ground up to know exactly what you respond to. And what you like. They've mapped out our brains. And so they know how to get in there. And so soon enough, the sports talk could even be done by AI who know exactly what's going to fire you up. We talked about the culture war earlier today. We talked about generating heat. We talked about how we get what we deserve in terms of conference realignment and politics and the partisan world in which we live. Well, guess what? People love hot takes. They love heat. They love debate. They love fighting. And the artificial intelligence systems understand that better. Anyway, they will know the exact sports angles to hit you with. It'll be like you could create a Stephen A. Take Master on a website. That's really, really mind-melting to think about. I don't know. I don't know. Do we merge? I don't know. That is the point. I don't know where this all goes. But I mean, wait till you get something like quantum computing. Then truly reality will be indiscernible from virtual reality. And at a certain point, what does it even matter? Right? Again, because it goes back to the same thing that I just discussed with these sexy AIs is like, what is the functional difference for the person on the ground? If the world, it goes back to all the philosophy that the Matrix 1 is dealing with, right? When, it's not Cyrus. What's his name? Who's the guy that betrayed him? Cypher? Maybe? But whatever. He's sitting down with the agents and he's betraying Morpheus and company. And he's saying, look, I know that this restaurant isn't real. I know that this steak isn't real, but when I put it in my mouth, it tastes good. It tastes like steak. What do I care if it's real? Plug me back into the Matrix. And so, yeah, I don't know. I guess plug me in. I just don't know how we have jobs or make money in this. Maybe we need to have Omar's one. Imagine Stephen A. arguing with AI Stephen A. No, sorry. Imagine Stephen A. arguing with Stephen AI. That would be a show I'd watch. Yeah. That's the dumbest part.
Same.
I would watch that. I would love to see what that actually what that actually looks like.
I feel like he prefers that over his co-host the last few years.
How do y'all feel about this? Suddenly, like, AI influencers rising up and getting this money. The nerds winning in the end. Again.
It's the devil. We're in the end times. Sounding like any of this.
There's definitely one way of looking at it. I mean, it's certainly intimidating. Because where do the jobs go? How do you generate income?
And people are just more simple-minded. I mean, I hate to sound, old man, but yeah.
I mean, are people more simple-minded, though? Or is this just a refinement of how our minds have always operated? Like, I don't think we're more simple. Like, what do you mean by simple-minded?
It could be. Like, instant gratification, all this stuff doesn't make a difference if it's real or fake. Like,
okay, I see what you're saying. I mean, definitely, our attention spans and instant gratification, yes, definitely shorter and more manipulable there, probably.
Yeah, dopamine hits go a long way. A lot of people need to do dopamine fasts. I'm one of them, honestly.
It doesn't really matter to me because, like, I guess it doesn't really impact me, at least not yet.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, like, if you know this is fake, it's not even a real person. Like, why pay and try to interact with it? You know what I mean? Like, you know this is fake.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because you're not dealing with the real person that you're giving to on OnlyFans. You don't know them. They don't know you. You're not going to have sex with them. Just like you're never going to have sex with this AI lady. I mean, so functionally, it's the same. And that's where it gets scary. Because somebody sitting here on a YouTube screen and talking to you about LSU football functionally is the same as me doing it. Like, sure, maybe you can't go get beers with him, like, later if you go to, like, Don Juan or something, but is that my only advantage? Smoking Joes with human beings? Because I love that. Like, don't get me wrong. That's cool. That's one of my favorite things to do. But, yeah, this is, I guess it sounds dumb. But, again, I know a lot of people got here faster than I did. But just that insight of, wait, there is actually no functional difference. That is what is freaking me out a bit about all of this. And again, the second punch in all that is that it's only going to get higher quality, more indiscernible. I think, I've thought of, so Dan Brown, who writes the Robert Langdon books, Da Vinci Code, all that, he has the most recent one, Origin, which seems like as much of a vehicle to espouse his kind of philosophy on AI as much as anything else. And he offers maybe a somewhat optimistic view, where instead of AI eliminating us or instead of it displacing us, we basically meld with it, right? And we become cyborgs. And that's not so far off what we are currently, right? I spend the majority of my time, I have an Apple Watch on, I've got earbuds in, I've got a phone in my pocket 24/7. We all do. The phone's essentially a part of our body as much as anything else is. Why not just implant it? I'm going to just implant the brain, implant the AI systems into my brain so I don't have to sit here and try to think about what everybody wants to listen to. I can just type it in. It can tell me what it wants to listen to. And then maybe some last vestige of my humanity can be used to try to make it funny or something. I don't know.
Scary.
Very.
Black Mirror stuff.
Black Mirror stuff. And then you watch Oppenheimer and you're like, and we can destroy the world at any time. Which you already knew and always knew, but the sword of Damocles has been hanging over us since the 40s, but does feel a bit more visceral.
Yeah, it might be hard to go to talking about Airbnb after all this, at least for me. But
I mean, just wait until the football revolution happens where you have dueling AIs with offensive and defensive theory running all the numbers, all the data points, and trying to perfectly position, which play call would be best in this scenario because we've run it in 1,000 different. We've checked the data of, every game that's ever been played, and we know that this is successful 72% of the time against this team with this. Blah, 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 blah.
I miss when AI stood for Allen Iverson.
Word. Me too. Remember when AI stepped over Tyronn Lue?
Who can forget?
Now you could just create an image of that. simple keystroke and get like a billion different Tron loose. No, I did not get my Oppenheimer review yet. Greg will do it next here on OTB.
OTB, OT.
Go to ITI Technical College. ITI Technical College. Actually, a perfect bit of a segue here, okay? Because in this job market where everything feels a bit imperiled, not the case over there at ITI. They can still provide you with relevant careers that can set you up for life. I didn't say jobs, I said careers. And I've talked all the time about how it's the best return on investment you're going to get in the state. That's not me. That's an objective study that was done by Georgetown. When you talk about what you pay for school versus what you can be expected to make down the road. And they've been at it for 50 years. And if you're intimidated or overwhelmed, don't worry. They guide you. They take your hand and guide you through the entire process, right? Go tour the facility. Talk to the administrators. See the attention to detail, the love and the care that they have for each one of their students. Understand they'll look at your schedule to help plan out your classes for you. They'll give you there's financial support available. There's academic support available. When you get out, they can set you up with internships, set you up with jobs, mock interviews, all of it. ITIcollege.edu.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Cold in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood.
Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. It's a What If Wednesday. J.D. Piquel of On3 Sports talking college football. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
OTB, OT with Hester and T-Bob. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
What up, y'all? Welcome back to OTB. Time for a little spoiler-free Oppie review. So easy to spot the globalist sellouts. Am I a globalist sellout?
I don't think so.
I don't know what that is, but I'll go ahead and say yeah, sure. Mario said no, so I'll say yeah.
I used to listen to a lot of Alex Jones. I'm proud of it, but I
Okay.
did. So I know what a globalist is.
Me too. Michelle Obama, a lot of controversial stuff that I used to be really into.
Tight. Yeah, ultimately, I rejected it, most of it. Yeah, it was complete nonsense.
But it was interesting for a while.
Yeah, it was fun for a while.
Yeah.
Sure. Look, you know, look, you can't be afraid to try out information and then come to your own conclusions on it. But no, what I laugh about, though, is, you know, sometimes they want to present it like there's some sort of script that you're being given. This is why I'm always messing with you about conspiracy stuff. Like, I don't know.
You mean like the NFL script, right?
Yeah, it's like you know, are you globalist? Okay, well, here's the talking points for this month. This is what we're trying to get out. You know, the globalist agenda. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. My brain's, dude. I don't know. I literally don't know. You know, again, I've always been terrified of nuclear war, and then I just saw Oppenheimer yesterday, and it just reminds you that we are living in an age where all it takes is one touch of the wrong. I mean, go watch Dr. Strangelove and just enjoy its dark humor, which I would say that Oppenheimer is up there with Dr. Strangelove as maybe some of the best movies revolving around nukes that have ever been made. Now, vastly different movies, but incredible just the same. Look, I think Christopher Nolan nailed it, man. I probably need to rewatch Interstellar to say this for sure, but I think that it's definitely that and The Dark Knight, my favorite Christopher Nolan movies. Now, it's weird to try to pick one of those two because they're doing vastly different things, right? And they're dealing with vastly different subject matter, and the way to accomplish that subject matter is so incredibly different between telling a Batman story and telling the story of a physicist who ended up creating a nuke, you know, the American Prometheus, the book that it's based off of, which he truly is, right? What did Prometheus do? He took fire from the gods and gave it to humanity, and for that he was chained to a rock and tortured. It's incredibly apt to what happened to Oppie, I suppose. But I think from a technical standpoint, the movie is a 10 out of 10. Everything that everybody's been saying, right? The sound design, the visuals, the quality of the film. Again, I saw it in the PLF theaters over there at Celebrity. You know I love those theaters. The Dolby Atmos sound system with 108 speakers. You were really rewarded by those 108 speakers, man. Because it's not just the music done by my guy Ludwig Göransson from Mando season 1 and 2, as well as some other stuff. Music was fantastic, but the sound design is really next level as well. So, you know, technical marvel, certainly. As far as the story goes, in classic Nolan fashion, he takes something incredibly dense and he finds the most efficient pathways to communicating this information, and I thought that he did a really good job there. The actual performances themselves are great. It's very funny seeing some of the actors cast. Like, is that Josh Hartnett? Oh, is that Josh from Drake and Josh? Is that and like you kind of keep playing that game, and yeah, look, that's that guy.
Rami Malek was
Rami
Malek.
Malek. It's gotta be such a good feeling to get cast in a Nolan film too. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when you've really made it. Cillian Murphy was simply fantastic as Oppenheimer. Imagine the pressure Murphy's under. We're like, hey, we're going to shoot this entire film, and the vast majority of it is just going to be your face. Like, blown up on the IMAX screen, on 70 millimeter. And you're not allowed to overact because that's not his style. Like, that was not who Oppenheimer was. Like, you have to carry the entire movie through subtle facial expressions. And I thought Murphy killed it in that regard. I thought the movie dragged a little bit around the middle. Some of Los Alamos, I did start to kind of feel like, okay, let's, not let's get a move on because you're still on the edge of your seat. But I'd be lying if I said that I didn't start to like kind of zone out a little bit in the middle. But maybe in opposition to Taylor's review, I thought the final hour was the best part of the movie. think the final hour has a pace and excitement, and that's really where the heart of the story lies. As much as this is about the creation of the nuclear bomb, it's really actually probably more about how we treat sometimes those who do these great things. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think at the end, Einstein and Oppenheimer offer some really poignant and profound insight into that very matter. Nukes remain as, what's the word I'm looking for? Multifaceted? No. They remain as inscrutable as ever in that this weapon of war, which, as we said, you're always a button push away from everything ending and all of us dying, has also led to an unprecedented peace, where it's now been 70 years since the major powers have been in a full-out war, which is the longest in human history. I think they call it the Westphalian peace. So I don't know what that says about humanity. I don't know that that will continue. I certainly hope that it does. But I would give it a full-throated recommendation. 9 out of 10. Go see it. It is a movie definitely worth your 3 hours. When we get back, let's close out the show.
OTB, OT.
Go to allstartoyotabatonrouge.com, All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. Go see them on the Airline Highway. Go test drive. Check out the selection they got on site. If what you want isn't quite there, or maybe it is there, but you want to be a different color, whatever it may be, like that's why I got the Murdered Out Mini. I went there, drove the Sienna. I'm like, man, I really like the Sienna. This is great. This is going to be perfect for my family. And it has been. Again, every time I've gone to the lake this summer, I've taken 3 kids and a 100-pound dog to the lake with all of our luggage and everything else, and it has not been a problem. Thanks to Sienna. But I did want it to look a bit cooler, right? So I tell them I want all black. So they customize it. They order a black interior, black exterior, the Murdered Out Mini, the black wheels. And they can do that for you as well, because that's the customer service that you get. And then you're in the Toyota family. You can, their service department's incredible. You get that Toyota certified warranty, which is your Toyota Care. And then always remember, if you want to rent, you don't want to put miles on your car, check out Miss Lee's Sessions and rental department, allstartoyotabatonrouge.com, All-Star Toyota.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. The Tigers have the day off from fall camp, but the Saints are back at it. We'll be in Metairie getting you a Saints training camp report. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
OTB OT with Hester and T-Bob on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and 94.7 ESPN Alexandria.
Ask the Bench, brought to you by Cold Coors Light. Visit our Tilted Blue Moon Light Sky Citrus Suite. Do remind you to go to DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. If you have not downloaded the DraftKings Sportsbook app yet, you do so. Use the promo code Baton Rouge if it's your first time signing up. You'll be prompted to. And you bet $5 on anything, you get $150 in bonus bets instantly. And remember, as always, all customers can get those stepped-up winnings with the DraftKings same-game parlays, or maybe you parlay a bunch of games together, like Jake does with all kind of soccer. It's whatever. You play how you want to play over there at DraftKings, DraftKings.com. Must be 20 or older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility, deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook at DraftKings.com/baseball. Terms, licensee partner, Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambler problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. All right. Get us a massive bench. Go to Cold Coors Live 0 till the Blue Moon Lights gets too sweet. You see the Barbie movie as he got her. Not yet. I want to. But the thing is, I don't want to sell Barbie short from a technical standpoint, but like when Nola makes a movie, I want to see it in the highest quality theater that I can. It's the same reason why I haven't taken the time to watch Avatar 2, because the only reason I cared to watch Avatar 2 was in theaters, but I just had a kid and I couldn't make it. So like, I don't really know that I want to watch that movie on TV. I'm very excited to watch. I'm very excited to watch though. Ask the Bench, would World War II have happened if Hitler was killed in World War I? I mean, obviously not in the same way that it did happen. Who knows what shapes it ends up taking. But like when you look at Germany and what happened after World War I, which, you could say fair or unfair, because it was pretty much, they started a war out of nowhere in World War I for no real reason, except for like old conquest. But Germany was so torn down after that there was ample room for some sort of autocrat. Is that the right word? For some sort of like dictator-esque person to rise and have the people behind him. I will say this, one thing Oppenheimer does that we talked about a lot on this show, something Dan Carlin's talked about, is it really does just racism on top of being morally abhorrent, functionally is awful, because you take talent out of the talent pool. Like all the physicists who led to the creation of the nuclear bomb, many of them were Jewish. Hitler called physics, of course, a Jewish science and kind of discouraged its research, and look at where that got him. So, yeah, racism, morally abhorrent and just stupid from a pragmatic leadership standpoint. No, and look, I agree. I've heard the Barbie movie set design and cinematography was incredible. I would love to see it in the theater. All I'm saying is, like, push comes to shove, you got kids. You can only see so many movies in theaters. I had to see Oppie in PLF before it wasn't in there anymore. Ask the Bench, if you were a necrophiliac, which celebrity would you want to dig up? I guess I never really thought about this.
I feel like a lot of people would say Marilyn Monroe. I'm not a lot of people. I feel like that would be an answer.
Bonk and a bonk.
What's the question?
If you're a necrophiliac, which dead person would be? Is necrophiliac you eat dead people or you have sex with them?
You have
sex with them. Yes.
Ted Bundy. Give him a little taste of his own medicine.
All right.
Okay.
Eat it, Ted. Y'all have a great day.
Ted's a funny name.
OTB, OT.
I don't know if you should end a show with Ted Bundy's a funny man. I don't.
He said Ted's a funny name.
It's just a funny first
a funny name.
Yeah.
I thought you said Ted's a funny man. I'm like, I don't know if funny is the word.
Well, now we're ending the show with that.
No, we're ending the show by telling you to go to Patient Plus Urgent Care. PatientPlusUC.com, where immediately when you see the building, you're like, wow, this is different than the urgent cares I'm used to. Wait till you go inside. You see the privacy of the rooms. You see the technology they have there. You understand that when it comes to COVID testing, cold testing, the summer flu that's going around, the stomach bug, whatever it is, if you need to feel better immediately, you got the weekend coming up, something you want to do, you want to go to Patient Plus Urgent Care. Walk-ins are always welcome. You can schedule a time online. You can do your digital profile online. And the digital profile speaks to the technology, investment, everything that we've talked about, where after you do it, it's just a touch of a button on your phone and you're signed in. It's like so easy, so fast. You're in and out and you get quality care, the most quality care. Patient Plus Urgent Care.